It's time for Type 40 Live, your live stream Doctor Who show, materialising here on the Spacebook channel right before your very eyes or ears, depending on where you are and whatever time stream or time zone you're joining us from. Welcome. Yes, this is Type 40 Live, hitting your screens in real time with our brand of interdimensional content and conversation here on YouTube and Facebook and across all major podcatchers too, all in front of a live chat full of friends, fans and companions just like you. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's king of the geeks, and whoever you are, we'll find out in a moment. That's when we get cozy and we start exchanging first names. I'm hoping some of the regulars are going to be in, and I'm hoping we're going to be attracting some new people too, some new companions as well, because that's always nice. But here is where we talk about the world's longest running, best loved sci-fi and fantasy TV series and the whole Whoniverse surrounding it, both off and on screen. Take that, Trekkers. Yes, so this is how it works. If you're watching on Facebook, you've got to hit the blue link, the magic blue link there. If you hit that link, then that will tell Facebook who you are. Facebook talks to StreamYard, and StreamYard whispers it in our ears here in the console room, and we all get on first name terms to exchange our thoughts and the same old gags about the week in Doctor Who, in the fourth and fifth dimensions. Lots to talk about, mostly concerning the fan base and the whole circus surrounding Doctor Who this week in the wake of Gallifrey 1 over there in LA, and lots of other things that have been kicking off on red carpets and on social media. It's going to be fun. Plus, we have a trip to the golden shores of a certain Paradise Island and lots more besides. So yeah, settle down for another couple of hours worth of great content, conversation, and whatever else springs to mind. I'm slightly bunged up. A couple of the panel are too as well, I think, in the nicest possible way, but we'll unstuff one another if we can. How about that? So let's one by one, let's bring them on. Here we've got Charlotte Shears is back.
I know, for
Charlotte,
once it's not me, folks. Luckily, I'm not the one that's coughing. Makes change.
Yeah. No need to be so smug about it. You're feeling okay this week, though.
Oh yeah, it's probably because I'm away from a certain thing that gives me loads of germs. That's probably why I'm not the one coughing.
It could be. It could be. What do you think of our console room this week? This is the work of Jack D. Evans.
Where did you find that?
It's a wonderful sort of picture book version. It's a very Julia Donaldson version of the TARDIS, isn't it? This.
Yes, it is very Gruffalo, isn't it? That type of art. I just love it because obviously that's what we think possibly Shooty's TARDIS could look like. So I just love it when fans get a bit of something off the set and they just run with it and do their own sort of imagination. I think that's cute. I know some people might think, God, it looks bad, but I think that's really cute.
I thought it was the perfect one for this week. And talking about running with it, I hope that he's not running too much, because he's back at last. I think he may have a runny nose, and he'll almost certainly be running off at the mouth, knowing the one, the only JT.
Hello, and hello, Spacebookers.
Hello, mate. It's great to have you back. How are you feeling? You've not been a well child, have you, the last 2 or 3 weeks? How are things?
No, I haven't. I'm a lot better than I was. I'll put it that way.
You need some colour back in your cheeks, my friend. I can't slap you. I can't do that here. But we hope that with all the sights and sounds from across Doctor Who land, that we'll get the blood pumping, and we'll see. We'll try and get you. We'll try and get your dander up in the nicest possible way. What do you think of this? What do you think of the picture book TARDIS? There, is that your kind of thing?
It's all right.
I think it's quite cute, isn't it? It's not, it's the kind of thing that you can imagine in across a double splash page book with just a few words sort of gradually rolling across. I think that's the theory behind it,
isn't it? It makes me think of like a scrapbook.
Yeah,
it makes me think of a children's book, like those stupid things they brought out a few years ago. But it's all right. Yeah, it's nice. It's all right.
Yeah, good stuff. We've also got Yes, we've got them. We've got them. Let's install us right in the USB port where we keep our mega geeky. Ian David Diaz, he's back as well.
Hello.
To think I thought,
and eating as per
usual before we came on. Second
Walkers
course
is not sponsoring this, by the way.
Is that the dessert course?
Yeah.
Good to have you back, mate. How's the week been?
Yeah. It's been fine. We're fine.
Were you here last week? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Where-
yeah. It was only 4 of us for good chunks. So yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was
It's good
Ian,
to have
me,
you
you,
back,
and
mate.
Simon.
I know you're going to love this stuff because I know that you are somewhat of a fashion expert. You like to keep your eye on what people.
Look at what I wear.
Yeah, wait for it. You know it's coming. And finally, I'm delighted to welcome back as well the one, the only Simon Horton.
Evening, folks. Evening, folks. Ian, I'm sure you weren't here last week. I'm
Probably
positive.
not. I
It's
can't
too
remember.
long for me to remember. I don't think you were here last
I
week.
can't remember what
mate.
happened yesterday, let alone today. Jesus.
Exactly.
How bad is that? That like it's been a week and we're all like.
We
what?
can't remember. It was Matt. Matt was here. Matt was definitely
Oh,
here.
that's
Hello,
what I was
Matt.
getting
out there.
confused.
No, I
Yeah.
wasn't there. Yeah.
Yes,
Anyway,
'cause-
evening, folks. Nice to have you here, and it's great to be on board. And
well, you may have blocked out last week because that was when we did our confessions, wasn't it? We talked
wasn't
about,
there.
we disclosed certain things about our wishes of Doctor Who and the things that we felt were slightly on our mind. So that went down really, really well. So thank you for all your comments there and all your suggestions in the comment section. Keep them coming fast, and we'll no doubt we'll be putting together some more of those for the love of Who live streams as we make our way through to the Diamond anniversary in November. I can't wait. I know we know so little about what's coming, but it's going to be good. It's going to be good stuff. I don't think it's just going to be those specials in November. I'm sure there's going to be more before then, and you can enjoy it all with us here at Type 40 Live. As always, let's go and see who's here in the live chat, shall we? See what's going on over there. Welcome back, everybody. Lovely to see you all. A nice big chunk of people and some great comments. And we're right in there with the food, Simon. I'm here with nibbles. That's not a rabbit. It looks like I'm here with nibbles, sausage rolls, and quiche. Waiting. It's a bit sophisticated. Matthew
Quiche.
Butterfield
That's
there.
very
more than
posh.
nibbles.
Very posh.
Posh.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Is that Fortnum and Mason's hamper of some sort he's got there? Nibbles. Good. I ask you. We're going up market here at Type 40 Live. Lord Thoth's here with a hi, everyone. Kelly,
Hello.
she's already hit like.
Oh god.
Fabulous work. You've been here before. Ben's here as well. Hi, everyone.
Ben.
Says Ben the Mondasian Cyberman, who looks somewhat peaky, but glad to have you back. And Char's here too in the live chat. Blimey, you guys
Hello,
are
Char.
early tonight. I think she's
love.
talking to them.
Mm,
It's good
Yeah.
to see you, Char. I've already hit like, so it better be a good one, guys. They're all good ones, but we'll do our best. Crimpling Doubloons in with his customary ahoy shipmates. It is that, isn't it? You got to do it in line with your eye and give a little wiggle when it gets to the top.
Oh,
of
that one.
It's not a proper salute without the wiggle, I'm told.
Hey,
God.
you started so well.
I know. It just comes out.
Hey!
Good evening all from Peter Harrington and Simon Ashley. Evening, all. We've got, I'm sure some of these are automatically generated. Raymond Williams, hello, Spacebookers. That one's to you, I think, JT. And Penelope Pitstop says, howdy, y'all. Howdy, Penelope.
Howdy, y'all,
Double P.
Penelope.
Howdy.
Yes, I like
mm.
Paul Murray says, evening all, only 9 months to go. Hooray!
What?
You're up the duff, Paul.
Yeah.
This is
News.
hell of a way to break it to us, mate. But I'm glad you're here. Let us know what your cravings are, and might be able to get you some Bombay mix, whatever you fancy. The time scale says, yeah, let me take a bong hit. I don't think I should be reading that.
I think that's another show completely.
You relax how you like time scales. You know, we don't condemn or endorse any of that. Yeah, people are coughing at one another and slapping one another on the back and saying welcome back. So yeah, fabulous to see you all. Darren M2, greetings, one and all. Greetings, Darren. And the Primord infectants back as well. Well, there's a couple of infectants here. I've got these to hand. I've got a box of Scotties to my right, and but I'm sure that it'll be enough heavy artillery to get us through the show tonight. This is going to be a great show. This is what we want. They believe in us. They believe in us, Charlotte. This is going to be a great show.
Somebody has
Woohoo.
to.
Yeah, tell me about
Vanessa. Well, just in case we let the side down, I know that Vanessa Law won't.
Hello,
She's in the
Vanessa.
chat with her.
Hello, Vanessa.
All nice to see you. Well, Michelle, she's got popcorn and she's ready for another fun episode. Marvelous stuff. And we've got one from Tasmania as well. Stephanie Barrett's in. So it's good to see you, Stephanie. I don't know where Matt Pott is. He's usually kicking around. Gary Browser's here as well. Yes, so Dan is full of energy tonight. I'm actually doped up to the nines here. I'm full of strepsils and various other stuff, all strictly available in the local pharmacy. I hasten to add, there's nothing untoward going on there. Simon Ashley says it's Thursday and it's time for Type 40 Live. Brilliant stuff, yes. So keep it in your diary. Thursday, 8 p.m, Type 40 Live, UK time, obviously, and we'll keep delivering as best we can. So in the last few days, it's been all about pretty much what's been trending, sometimes on the old hashtags and all that out there in the Whooniverse. Not only that, but what people are actually talking about. And obviously, we are traditionally the one place where the world of the longest running sci-fi and fantasy series meets good old British common sense. So I think we can actually sort of get some of the nonsense that's out there in the ether and make a little sense of it. As always, all views are encouraged, and really we're just going to have a laugh, poke a bit of fun, take the piss the way that we usually do. But I haven't seen any of the Doctor Who cast out there filming this week. We've got Millie Gibson. She's out doing a shopping, which is lovely. I think she could do with, probably it's pretty cold out there, she could probably do with getting a jumper on, but that's nice to see. They need a break. And Ncuti Gatwa, obviously. Now, Ncuti, every single week this week, we've been looking at what Ncuti has been wearing every week this series. And we got this last week. So we've got this second look here for Ncuti, JT. And I like to think of you as our style expert. What do you think of this second look for Ncuti? Because you were very undecided about the first one, weren't you? The plaid look. As this one, the leather and the design of trainers. How do you feel about this one?
Move on.
I think we've got a double thumbs down there from JT. Yeah, I just felt a little sorry for the cosplayers at Gallifrey 1, who's probably spent a small fortune putting the original one together, and then they get there and within a few hours that one debuts. But yeah, so there's that going on too. But you may be keener on Ncuti's own choice of dress, because him being this sort of stylish young man we've remarked upon before, he's been seen in another outfit. So we had that one new last week, but this week we've got this one. He's been seen this. So this is from. No, this is from. I don't know if you've seen this, Simon. This is from.
No, and I don't want to see it again. There's some things you can't unsee, and that's one of them.
Well, I feel that he looks a little bit more like a Bond villain here than Doctor
I was going to say he looks like a henchman, like a villain's hench person.
Well, whatever he looks, it's not good. Let's be honest. I mean, it's the gloves as much as anything. That's just worrying. He really does look like he's about to give you an inspection, doesn't he? It's not good.
Well, would you be surprised to learn, Simon, that this is from the Vogue UK red carpet, this big swanky bash. So it was a big bash at the place called Annabelle's on, I think it was Monday night this week, where it says on Vogue's website, it says the A-list descended on Annabelle's last night, where British Vogue held its 2023 fashion and film party in partnership with Tiffany's. It said the party went on to the small hours with live performances before DJ Fat Tony. Mm-hmm. He runs the kebab shop down Oldham. That doesn't sound right, because what it says, DJ Fat Tony kept the likes of Jamie Foxx, Little Sims, and Letitia Wright glued to the dance floor. So yeah, and Ncuti was there, and this was what he was wearing that night. I think it's quite understated for him, JT.
I don't like the gloves. Excuse me. I like the rest of it because it's just plain and simple, and I would rather have seen him wear something like that as the alleged Doctor than the nonsense they're churning out right now. But those gloves, yeah, they are just evil looking. He does look like he's going to be in an episode of Vera wearing them.
Yes, it's a funny one. Ian, you have been quite condemning of Ncuti's choice of dress in the past. Is he winning you over with this? Excuse me.
What do you think? Seriously, the first one was rubbish. The second one looks like he stepped out of a blaxploitation movie, and this one I have no idea what this is all about. I really don't.
This was him out on the tiles.
Who's the designer? Who's the designer of the black outfit?
Stay on
I
the tiles,
haven't-
mate. Stay on the tiles. That's all I can say. Just leave us
I
alone. with that
haven't
rubbish.
got a designer named there,
Right.
but it's. I mean, I thought that I'll be honest with you. I thought that what Shooty was wearing was rather impractical and a little bit silly until I visited the Vogue website and saw what everybody
I
else
was
was
gonna
wearing.
say,
It is
what's his name there? That's Sam Smith.
Sam
fella.
Smith.
Oh, he's a pain in the neck. That idiot boy really
Funny
is
enough,
a pain in the
he
arse.
wasn't there, and it would have been the one place you would have thought perhaps it's not so much fun for him to go to one of these bashes where everybody's dressed strange.
Yeah.
He'd rather go down the chip shop dressed as whatever he was last week as Batman. It's a bit strange. Yes, so that's what Shooty's been up to this week. It's all go there on the red carpet, but that's not the only swanky bash that's happened this week. I've got some more pictures of Shooties. This is a closer look, Ian. This might bring you round. Look, look at that.
Oh,
That is
it's
just-
getting worse.
It's just rubbish. It's just seriously, you never got Bacaldi doing that, or freaking, even going back to Tom Baker never coming out with stuff like this. It's ridiculous. Just
The sleeves
don't show me
actually-
these pictures,
The
please.
sleeves on the jacket are actually split.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can now see that the gloves go up to kind of midway up his biceps. It's just and he's got some sort of mesh t-shirt on by
Yeah.
the looks of it.
How 90s.
Have you ever seen one of those sort of children's entertainers where they're ventriloquists or something? They've got their own armies wherever, and they've got like a false arm. They sort of flap around.
Yeah,
To me,
yeah.
he looks like he's waving two false arms there, and maybe his own are in his pockets. I don't know, blame with a small change, whatever else. But again, very good looking man. But it takes some brass bollocks to
I
go
think,
dressed like that. Fair play to
This
him.
might look good on a woman rather than a man.
I was going to
Well,
say
maybe
the cut looked a bit feminine to me. What he's wearing there.
it might be the whole point with all this gender neutrality bullshit.
I think you
You know
could be
what I mean?
right onto something there. Actually, that could well be an entire female outfit. In all honesty,
Yeah.
I don't know what it's just crazy. Is this going to win people over to Shooty as the new Doctor? I don't think so.
Probably not. I must admit, though, Peter Davison has worn gloves like that, but he did have his hand up a cow's backside at the time.
Yeah.
He had a
did, he
reason
did.
at least.
He did indeed.
So yeah, nice one, Shooty, I think. And as we know, Shooty's a big one for social media. And even though he couldn't be with his people in Los Angeles for
People?
Gallifrey
What
1,
does that mean? Come on.
us, the Whovians, the Lunatics. The Doctor Who fans. But it wasn't some sort of comment or anything else. Just that we couldn't be with Doctor Who fans, but a lot of Doctor Who fans were over in Los Angeles for Gallifrey 1, and Shooty, being a big social media user, he saw some of them and signalled to them.
Oh
So
my
this is what he's been sharing this week. Shooty says, "That'd be nice." Shooty
Dominic
says,
Martin.
That's Dominic Martin, friend of the show. Dominic Martin, he's been on the podcast.
He's a friend of the show.
He's been on the podcast. Yeah, we've had Dominic
Has
on, and he says, "Big up the Whovian massive." That's what Shooty says. I don't
I
know
hope
who
he's
these
dressed
people
properly.
are to tag them, but got this picture sent. Just wow. So yes, that's Dominic there on the left.
Needs a
In the
haircut.
middle, there's Tanya Franks, who was a guest on the last episode of the podcast. So there's two former Type 40 guests there, and I don't know who the person on the right is, but Shooty's obviously very impressed there. She's gone with the sort of mustard top underneath the actual top, so she's sort of mixing it up a little bit there. But it just goes to show, though, doesn't it? We ambassadors for the show, all joking apart, the stuff on the red carpet is one thing, but this is kind of what matters, isn't it? Are people going to go out of their way to back Shooty before he's been on screen?
No.
Obviously,
It's not people going out of their way. It's Doctor Who fanatics going out of
Yeah.
their way. It's two different things. And why are they
Obviously,
wearing masks? Are they still wearing masks in America?
I was
think
going to
so,
ask.
certain
I was going
places.
to ask you
That's what
that.
I was
Lots.
thinking.
Really?
We've
Grow
got
up,
some pictures.
America.
We've got
Get
some
over it.
pictures.
Heaven's
We've got some
sake.
pictures.
JT
We've got some-
Sack.
We've got some pictures from Gallifrey 1 coming up later on, and I was really startled by how many people are wearing masks. And
Shocking.
Stephen Shapansky from Radio Free Skaro, he was kind of a master of ceremonies there, and I heard some of his coverage. And he was talking about how, I know COVID's still a thing, and I know the pandemic isn't over. Stephen, it is.
is.
Nobody wears masks in Great Britain, so I don't know what's going on there. I couldn't quite believe it either. So maybe immune systems are down. I don't know. You shouldn't really talk about this stuff.
They've
on
got the
YouTube,
jab,
I know.
haven't they?
Yeah,
as
they've
far
had
as
it
I
all.
know.
They've
As
had it
far
all.
as I know. But yeah, I do think this is really nice. I think it's weird because obviously Shooty is now an ambassador for Doctor Who, JT. And I think we were both of the same mind that is it wise for an ambassador for Doctor Who to be so active on a social media platform? He clearly loves Instagram. He's obviously made his decision. And if it stays to being sort of like this pleasant interaction, then it could work, couldn't it? If it's kept like this, quite wholesome and just nice, not political.
You're asking the wrong person. The more I see of this alleged new version of Doctor Who from Bad Wolf and BBC Studios, and the more I'm actually thinking I'm not going to bother with it because it's just not turning me on at all. It doesn't excite me. I am really genuinely at this moment in time not interested in it at all. I don't know. I just can't engage with it. There's something about it that isn't screaming Doctor Who to me. It doesn't feel like the same. I feel like we're going to get more of the same nonsense that's been peddled out for the last few years. So you're asking the wrong person, Dan, because I really can't comment because every time I see him now, I'm just thinking, what are you doing?
Sort of something they're doing is pushing you away slightly.
Oh, totally. I mean, we've got a whole show that where you're chatting to me about the politics of the show. And if you haven't seen that yet, go and look. It's called Casting Calls. It's on the playlist, and I'm very honest about it, as I usually am. But nothing about this next era. Honestly, it just looks more of the same New Who nonsense that's been going since 2005, and I am so over it already. I just can't engage with it at the moment.
Maybe we'll get. Maybe when the trilogy is on in November, and we see how different things are style-wise and tone-wise, and the step-up production values-wise, maybe that'll be a good indicator. Because I suppose
production values don't mean a thing for me because I grew up with the proper Doctor Who between 1963 and 1989, and when I go back and watch Doctor Who now to celebrate the 60th anniversary, I've been watching season 24 recently. I've been watching a lot of Colin. In fact, I've watched something from each of the Doctors while I was ill as well, and got something out of it to this very day at the age I am now, and it's still magical for me. And I think that's the whole point about that. Doctor Who back then told a story. It had engaging characters. You know, you weren't worrying every 2 minutes about whether they were going to preach to you next or whether they were going to give you a lesson in their politics or whatever. It was just good, joyous fun.
I think what I'm trying to say, JT, is that all we've got are a few pap shots, first of David Tennant and Catherine running around Bristol, and now Shooty and Millie running around somewhere else. So, you know, it's much of a muchness, really. It's hard to judge what's changed and what. I mean, it'll still be fast paced. I agree. It'll be an extension of New Who. All New Who will be. But I suppose if I was to say maybe all isn't lost, we don't know that the rest of it hasn't evolved because we're still seeing so little.
And that's fine with me because the more I see of it, the more I think I don't want to know. I will return and look at the David Tennant episodes, but as for that, after that, I'm really not engaged with anything that's coming after it because everything I've seen so far has just been a big thumbs down to me. I mean, look at him in that big leather jacket. I mean, it honestly does look like he's a pimp. Stereotypical costume design. He's just come out of a 1970s reggae club or something like that. And there were lots of people on social media saying, "Oh, look, it's the Lenny Henry version." Well, it is, and I just thought, what are they doing?
Yeah, we had it up on screen last week. We had a good look back at that 1985 Lenny Henry sketch, and it is remarkably like it, that outfit. But I do think this is kind of great seeing people dressed up as him there. And obviously, hello to Talia and to Dom. And just a reminder that if you haven't heard it yet, there's the very latest podcast now. It's up on the playlists. It's up at type40.podbean.com, our home feed there. And you can get it on all major podcatchers too, along with audio editions of these very shows, Type 40 Live there in your ears to hear all over again while you're on the school run or doing the washing up or mowing the lawn or whatever else. And brand new episodes of Type 40, a Doctor Who podcast there too. So that one's with Talia and Lucia from the Wibbly Wobbly Timey Wimey podcast. And there'll be another one along in just a few days' time. Yes, so talking of more red carpets and more gaffs, Simon, I thought of you when I saw this.
Rude!
I know. God, I'm really putting my foot in it tonight, aren't I? Okay, so the BAFTAs. If you want to talk about British awards bashes, the pretty much intolerable BAFTAs. They've been intolerable for a few years now. But this week they have been positively slammed, in inverted commas, for omitting one particular massive cultural figure, not just somebody important to Doctor Who fans, important to Britain culturally. There's a massive well of affection for this actor, for this personality. I'm talking of the late great Bernard Cribbins. Of course I am. And they chose during their ceremony on Sunday night, they completely omitted him from this reel that they put up. They put it on every year, don't they? A reel honouring people, stars that we have lost in the preceding 12 months, and Bernard wasn't present. I don't watch the BAFTAs. I don't know anybody who does, but obviously this was all over the news the next day. Did you see this, Simon?
No, I didn't. I mean, interestingly, I can't think what I was watching before the BAFTAs came on. I was watching them, and so I was there when the BAFTAs started. And I have to be honest, I was just appalled. I was horrified. It was one of the most excruciating 5 or 10 minutes I've ever seen on British television, full stop. And let's remind ourselves, this is BBC television. And this was like, I'm fed up of hearing the arguments that if we get rid of the license fee, the BBC will end up like ITV. You know, be careful what you wish for, because BBC will end up like ITV. BBC is already worse than ITV. It's terrible. It can't get any worse. So there was this excruciatingly embarrassing sequence with Richard E. Grant on the hotline down the phone to Hollywood to some star that I can't even remember who it was now. Okay. Who was telling him that he got to go in the Batmobile, and so they ended up getting this kind of cod Batmobile, and you see Richard E. Grant waltz into the BAFTAs in this white gown. It was just, and this is Richard E. Grant we're talking about, you know, a Shakespearean actor, and it was excruciating, and that was the point I turned off. I really genuinely couldn't cope with any more of it, so I didn't see what we're talking about. But I'm led to believe that, yeah, apparently poor old Bernard was left out, and there doesn't seem yet to be any explanation as to why he was left out.
Well, they gave a tiny one. They did give a tiny justification afterwards, which just made it worse.
Which was?
It's very, very meagre. So, yeah. I mean, there was a sort of chain of events with this, because obviously immediately people were watching and talking about it on social media, and people noticed right away, not just Doctor Who fans, people noticed and started to express their sort of distaste with it, because in this reel they had at the BAFTAs, the British Academy of Film and Television Awards, they had people like Anne Heche in there, Olivia Newton-John, William Hurt, all these American actors, you know, great actors. You know, I like all their work, but to not include Bernard Cribbins, who obviously passed away last July after all these days. I think his first work was something in the late 40s, early 50s. Well, it's mental.
The sticky wicket that BAFTA are on here is the justification that they've given, which is very, very thin, is that it was incorrect. And this, let's be clear, actually, I'm just reading it now. This is Russell T. Davis, God bless him, who's saying that it's fair enough to remember Bernard Cribbins at the TV BAFTAs, not the film BAFTAs. Now, I'm sorry, Russell, but you clearly don't know what you're talking about, mate, because Bernard Cribbins was as big in film as he was in television. So why is it wrong to remember this guy when we're talking about film BAFTAs? He was a film star. Let's not forget that.
To give him his due, it was Russell that went in on them immediately on Instagram.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
He said...
Yeah, he called them out very royally.
Oh, well done, Russell, then.
It was right away. And he said to say he's just being considered is the work of an idiot. He called BAFTA an idiot. And, so he was there right away with this. I agree with you completely. Yeah, there's Jack and Ori and all the other things that Bernard Cribbins did. He had his own show, didn't he, in the 1960s? All the guest appearances and the regular shows he was part of. But the Railway Children, he's a massive part of that. And that is one of the biggest British films of all time, Simon.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but he was in Carry On films as well. You know, he did loads and loads of films. So it's just an odd thing of Russell to say that we should be remembering him in the TV BAFTAs, but not the film. For goodness sakes, Bernard Cribbins is huge. We should be remembering him in both of them. And so, you know, good on Russell if he's
Simon,
called BAFTA out. But
Simon, Richard E. Grant turned up in a what?
The Batmobile.
Batmobile. Well, it wasn't really a Batmobile so much as it was a kind of a Blue Peter version of Batmobile made out of washing up bottles and toilet roll holders.
Right.
You had to see it to believe it, mate. I'm not kidding you.
I
It's
never watched
okay.
it. I never
Over the
watched it.
weekend, I saw, do you know that ex-political editor on BBC television ask Hugh Grant, and if you not Hugh Grant, you've got me, Hugh
Richard
Jackman.
E. Grant.
He's lying.
Sorry, asked Hugh
Yeah.
Jackman, who's obviously famous for Wolverine. She literally asked him in an interview, "Do you think Wolverine needs therapy?" And I was just like,
Jesus.
Oh, Lord.
Who was the
What?
co-host? Who was the co-host? The big woman. Sorry,
Alison Hammond. She lives in the next town along to me.
Right.
Yeah.
So she is famous for what?
She interviews celebrities. Well, she was on Big
Being a
Brother.
BBC presenter.
She was on Big Brother about 20 years ago, and then now she's like a big showbiz correspondent for
Okay.
This Morning.
Right.
No, she took over this morning because they sacked Damon and Ruth because they were too old and too white. And they have to
they
be
put
more
her-
diverse now. So she's actually the main presenter with Dermot on This Morning.
Wow.
Not that I watch it because I'm too busy working. But that's the situation there. But you know, talk about being in the right place at the right time. She's got no talent at all. I've got more talent in my little finger than she's got in her entire body.
Wow.
What? She's nice. She's a nice enough girl.
I'm sure she's lovely, but she shouldn't be on television.
Yeah, she's
You know,
hopeless as a presenter. But then every
in my
presenter that's
view-
on BBC is hopeless these days. So
In
nothing
my
changes.
view, people like her are authentic as what they are. They strike a chord with the British public by being who they are, by being completely
I know who she
authentic.
is.
And so to do something to put them through that sort of system, to turn them into a star, to put them in designer clothes, plonk them on a sofa next to some prat like whatever his name is, Dermot thingy. To do that and to sort of expect them all of a sudden to be broadcasters is incredibly woolly thinking. And I didn't see her on stage at the BAFTAs, but I can only, from the things that I've seen said about the entire ceremony, pairing her up with Richard E. Grant was about as successful as putting Sam Fox with Mick Fleetwood all those years ago on
Correct.
the
The MTV
That's what
Awards.
it felt like. That's exactly what it felt like.
I never watched it, and I don't even know who she is. But I saw like this woman was co-presenting. I'm like, who is she? Is she an actor? I didn't know who she was. So.
She's kind of a black
Italian, though,
she's a
is she?
black
It's
country
not.
still a black.
Wow.
No,
That's
well,
a horrible
at least-
thing to say.
He still had some talent, please.
Yeah, she
You know,
did.
and had #1 hits and was a millionaire, and you know, could do all sorts and could present. Scylla had talent, but as I say, Ian, certain people are tick box casting, and unfortunately, we see that continually, and we're getting to the point now where it's excessive.
Yeah,
you know?
it is. But you know that. Whatever. I don't care anymore.
In all fairness, I think what Russell is quite angry about as well, because this is carrying on. So they've not confirmed. All they've said is that Bernard will be considered for the TV. So they refuse to say whether they're going to honour him in the TV one or not. They haven't firmly stated that they will. But this is just one of a number of things. The entire thing has been
He's
slated.
not diverse enough. That's why
And-
he's not diverse
Well,
enough.
we now have. Well, the BAFTAs were in trouble the next day because apparently nobody. All the awards were won by Caucasian people. There were no black winners, and so people are now calling the BAFTAs racist. And it's all getting. So the more that BAFTA try to signal to people out there who are obsessed with people's immutable characteristics, these things, the more that they signal to those people, the more that more wants more. Or it's never enough. So I don't know why they bother. But to me, it's just all ridiculous. Phil Davies, the noted character actor, I mean, I'd say he's a very renowned actor, Quadrophenia, Sherlock,
Doctor
million
Who.
things he's been in, and Fires of Pompeii he was in. He's resigned from BAFTA over this.
A lot of people have apparently. I mean, he's getting the press because he went onto Twitter with it. But apparently, over the last few days, a lot of the members have resigned from it and left the organisation and the membership, which is something you shouldn't do. But it goes back to my point that I've made a lot of time. Show business is totally corrupt. Why anybody would want to go
You
into
only
it?
know now.
Idea.
It's always been ever since I was in my
Actually,
20s.
Yeah, I think it's worse now though, because of course, if you're a certain ilk, you can't get work.
Yeah,
I mean, we're looking at these TV presenters that Dan's mentioned there. I get very annoyed because I've known people that have struggled through drama school and struggled to make ends meet and have come out extremely talented and ready and can't get the work because they don't fit the quota. That really annoys me on their behalf, because they end up in regular jobs rather than the one they've trained for and been put through hell for, because some no mark has come off bloody Big Brother.
So
it shows just like you can work hard, you can have all that talent, and I think that's what angered me when I heard about the news about Bernard, because it's like he was one of those actors who just worked all his life. Like he loved working. He didn't care about the sort of glitz of it. He just wanted to be doing his job, and that came across. And for somebody who's had that much dedication and that much hard work, and for BAFTA to sort of thumb their nose up at him and not
raised
even
a lot of money
include
for
him.
charity as well, Charlotte,
Yeah.
and he's of the old school as well. So he didn't boast about it. He didn't get up and sort of talk about it all the time. He just did it very quietly.
And it's another thing. It's like now we obviously know when he's come back to film the 60th scenes, whatever that's going to be, he wasn't in good health. So even when he probably shouldn't have come back, really, for his own health reasons, he did. That shows dedication. That shows love. And for BAFTA to just go,
it just goes to show. I agree with Simon. It just goes to show, right? He's a bona fide film star, even though people have forgotten that he was in movies. He should have been honored. They honored all these Americans, according to Simon, because I've never watched it. Why would they do that?
Yeah. Well, this is what I can't understand. Going back to Russell's comment, I can't understand. Okay, so Russell supposedly called BAFTA out, but then says it's fair enough to remember Bernard in the TV BAFTA.
Yeah, BAFTA replied to Russell's criticism with, "We are considering him for the TV one," and that's when Russell said that. So yeah, it was a dialogue between them through Instagram.
I'm just trying to work out, was Russell actually sort of criticising them for was he saying that he shouldn't have, was Russell saying that Bernard shouldn't have been in the TV one at the film ones, and so BAFTA were correct?
Russell was saying that he should be in both. Basically, he was getting at them for not putting him into the BAFTAs at the weekend. They've replied saying we may put him in the TV one, and then Russell's got back saying it's all well and good putting him in the TV one, but he should be in the movie one as well. Charlotte, you know if there was any any specific shows on any of the British channels dedicated to Bernard as a tribute?
I don't think so. Like I remember obviously when the news passed, it was all over the news that he'd passed, that he'd gone, but but also it's just he's going to be on our screens as well soon enough. Like we're going to have that memory of him again, and we're going to have the cast talk about him again. And it's just boggles the mind.
From what I remember, Channel 4 put the plank on All 4, their digital thing. I don't know if they put it on television. I think the plank was dusted down, but that was pretty much it from what I remember.
If it's on digital, I won't count it. It needs to be on BBC One, BBC Two, ITV1, or Channel 4, or even Channel 5.
I know. So, are you saying like a dedication night or some sort of?
But it's getting pretty obvious to me that the bias against white people is gone from 5 to 10 in the Richter scale. It's ridiculous. BBC, they literally are blanking the white people. I mean, they must be really upset that the white people won the BAFTAs, which I said I've never seen it. I must be really upset.
They're striving for this, what they view as an equitable outcome, aren't they? And this isn't just a BAFTA at multiple places, rather than merit sort of towards equity. And they can't see the flaw in that. We're talking about people who are very, very stupid, and in my view, quite racist. But
I really do.
Fortunately, there's lots of love for Bernard Cribbins here in our chat. People see this for exactly what it is. Michelle Hamilton says Phil Davis resigned his membership of BAFTA. We've got people saying, hey, how many films did Bernard make? And his film credits are endless. Bernard he worked with Hitchcock. Reminds us Jack Thursby there.
We have to remember that Bernard Cribbins also won our award last year.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he was our face of 2022 here on Type 40. That's right, Pete. Yeah, so people reminding themselves of some of his great performances there, such as Two-Way Stretch
Shocking.
And it's interesting because I'm just rereading this now, and this just goes to prove how dangerous this kind of social media thing is. Because I completely misread this. That Russell. I'm rereading it now. That what you guys are telling me, and Russell is calling them both out. But I was originally reading it as Russell got the wrong end of the stick. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So sorry, Russell, if I'm understood. This is just goes to show how careful you've got to be when you put stuff up on social media. How easy it is for people to misunderstand it and misread
people do it all the time, Simon. I mean, everything's now taken out of context. I mean, look at what's happening with J.K. Rowling. I mean, she said absolutely nothing that can be deemed offensive to anyone except loonies. But they take certain things and they twist it all. It happens to everybody now, especially if you're in the eye of these people. It's poison. It's just absolute poison. And at some point, the bubble has to burst, and these people really need to be put in a loony bin.
So, all right, well, dolls now offensive to
We've got a comment here from
organisation. Is BAFTA a charity organisation?
No, it's a membership-run organisation. They've been going for years and years and years. But I personally don't think they're going to go the next 15 because too many people are being disrespected. And of course, it's like the TV license. You know, these youngsters are coming through with their university nonsense plugged into their head and all their ideology, and they're not necessarily going to go into something that's deemed as old, because they're going to be looking at other things. And it's like the BBC, for example, Ian, to use your example there, are so desperate to chase an audience that isn't there, i.e. the youth market, to try and get the next generation of TV license payers, that they're forgetting anybody over the age of, say, 50, say 35, 40, and they're forgetting that market completely and putting all this crap on, thinking that the youngsters will come and pay a TV license. We know that's not working, because they're not watching the BBC. They're not going to be paying a TV license in the future. And these showbiz organizations aren't really, they say they're progressive. They're not. They can't actually get in with the reality of what's in front of them because they're too busy pandering.
Yeah, it's true.
I want to finish this with a comment from Sam, who says they have now confirmed, apparently, which they should have said that in the first place. They're slowly backing down. They realise they've dropped a clanger, and they're trying to sort of limit the damage, the perception.
Well, they should do a special tribute show just for Bernard, with his incredible body of work that he's got that goes right back to 1940. Well, after the war, wasn't it? He started back in, and it goes right through everything, including our own Dalek film, of course.
Yes.
So he's got to go through. And they are BAFTA. There's a suggestion for you. No fee for you. Get a special 1.5 hour, 90-minute documentary just for him from BAFTA, and not with the kids in BAFTA. Do it with people who actually know what they're talking about.
Absolutely. And we love Bernard Cribbins here at Type 40 Live. He was, as JT reminds us, he was our face of 2022 last year. And I can't wait to see him back on screen. I don't really care how much there is of him. The fact that he will be there with his on-screen family again come November, that's just an extra gift really wrapped up in this anniversary event that we're going to get. So let us know what you think of that. What do you think of BAFTA? What do you think of Shooty at the Vogue Awards? Let us know in the comment section. Keep all that coming. A lot of love for Bernard here, and obviously a lot of love for Doctor Who. That's why we all get together and do this. That's why you're here too, all for the love of Who there. And there's lots more to get into on the show from across the Whoniverse, and we'll be looking at some pretty wild pictures later on as well, I can promise you. But for now, we're going to go somewhere very specific, somewhere that's going to cool us and warm us at the same time. Stay tuned. It's back. It's back, everybody.
That's mysterious. Music.
Well, I'm happy to say that 2023 series of Type 40 Live, we're into our 5th week now, and we are tearing the plastic wrap off a new run of a regular favourite. We can dive into pretty pieces of plastic and paper and whatever else, the things that we line our shelves with and bother the overdraft with. Now on Type 40 Live, all thanks to the Lord of the pre-orders himself there, it's Merchandise Paradise and our guide to all that glistens with JT. Where is it? Where's my thing? There it is. Funky. Very funky.
Yes, you're back.
There we are. It is back, yeah. And here we go with Merchandise Paradise, the first one for 2023. And as usual, all prices are correct as of Thursday, the 23rd of February, 2023. Okay, now I want to start this edition of Merchandise Paradise with just referring to something I mentioned at Christmas, because I mentioned that as part of the BBC Audio Target novelisation, Silver Nemesis was on the way. Well, this week I was given the cover, and it's a cracker. So we should have the graphic for you there. There you go. Silver Nemesis by Kevin Clark and read by David Banks is going to be available on July the 6th. It's available to pre-order for you now at £17.60 from all the usual retail stockists.
God, that looks gorgeous, doesn't it? Alistair Pearson's gone back to his original artwork for the reissue of the novel, the Diamond re-releases, isn't he, for this, and sort of tuned it up a little bit.
Yeah, Alistair tends to do that with all his material. You know, he goes back and fixes it as artists tend to. But I think it's worthwhile because that cover for me, it just stands out an awful lot. You'll be able to see it on the show. The revamped logo looks great on it as well. So I just wanted to update you on that one because that now is the official cover for the audio coming to you on July the 6th.
Oh, look at that logo. It's still not got old seeing that logo back, Simon. I can't.
Well, absolutely. I don't think it'll ever get old seeing that logo back. I can't help thinking, though, we kind of maybe do need to see a few more colours now, only because that just kind of looks a bit lost against the blue, or maybe the blue background just needed changing or subduing down a little bit. I don't know.
Maybe Alistair did that as well before the rebrand. I don't know who they've been told, because
could well be
the yellow key line helps it, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, staying with the audio collection, and this may be more to your liking, actually, Simon, because out right now and available for you on a download is the Renegades collection. Now, get a load of this Renegades collection, because this is a collection of 4 classic TV novelizations featuring Time Lords who fled life on Gallifrey. So you have the Time Meddler, the Deadly Assassin, Sharda, the Mark of the Rani. Okay, they're read by Peter Purvis, Geoffrey Beevers, Lalla Ward, John Leeson, and Nicola Bryant. Now, this is a download, as I say, and you can get it now. All those stories, it runs for 22 hours, 40 minutes.
Ooh, wow.
And it's £16, which I think is a download bargain.
Yeah, that is a good price, that is. You can't knock that.
Yeah, and I have to tell you,
am I assuming then that Lalla Ward and John Leeson are both doing Sharda?
They're both doing Sharda. Yeah, they're doing Sharda. And I have to tell you as well that the brilliant thing about these download collections, and I wish they would re-release these, is because all those stories have actually, of course, been deleted on CD. So the only way you can get them now is through the download process.
That's cool.
Okay.
So there you go. That's available for you now. Just looking forward to get.
I do like how they band these together. I think there's a lot of common sense to this. If they did them sort of season by season for the Target books, it wouldn't be right. It reminds me of those gift sets they used to do of the actual books. Do you remember those back in the early 80s?
I do remember those. The little cardboard. They used to come out at Christmas, hadn't they?
Right.
Little cardboard box with about four titles in them. Yeah.
I used to love getting those for Christmas because the collection would suddenly expand on the shelf.
Yeah.
And it was gorgeous. I used to love all that. So there we go. Excuse me about that space book, because I'm still a bit sort of croaky. I know, so do forgive me on this.
Doing well, mate. You're doing well.
Thank you. Just looking forward, though, as I do on Merchandise Paradise, to further future. 5th of October, coming out on CD is a 10th Doctor story, Doctor Who: The Lagoon Monsters, written by Gary Russell. That will be available to pre-order right now, actually, but it'll be on the shelves in October. It's currently £9.68.
I remember a time not that long ago when Gary Russell said he wasn't going to write any more Doctor Who.
No comment.
Yeah, enough about that. We're going to say that one, Gary.
While we're on the subject of things that are forthcoming, please do go and have a look at the previous segments of Merchandise Paradise, which are available on the playlist, because a lot of the material I was talking about last year is now coming out. It's starting to come out, like the Silver Nemesis one. You can pre-order everything now, or it's hitting the shelves now, like the Ultimate Dalek book, Volume 2 from Panini. That's now out. So go and have a look at those shows and see if there's anything there, because you might be able to get them right now. Okay, we're going to move on now. Again, before Christmas, I told you about The Amazing World of Doctor Who, the classic annual back from the 70s, coming out on CD. Well, hey, as Cheggers used to say, it's now coming out on the beautiful vinyl. Now, this is an exclusive.
Gorgeous.
It is actually, isn't it? I love this and have actually pre-ordered it. This is exclusive for Record Store Day in the United Kingdom, which is the 22nd of April. It's currently only available from participating record shops from around the country. It's limited to 3,000 copies. Each one is numbered, and as you can see, there is a special 60th anniversary label just on the front there. Okay, so I'll give this. Available exclusively to Record Store Day 2023, stories and features from the much celebrated book of the same name, brought to life with the sound design and some much loved Doctor Who voices that we went through before Christmas. Go back and have a look at it. Now, this is published especially for Record Store Day for the 60th anniversary year. It's got 2 coloured vinyl LPs, and they're presented in a gatefold sleeve with illustrated inner bags, as you can see. Achilleos' iconic artwork for the original book provides a stunning sleeve and back cover. And this book, of course, thrilled fans with short stories and strips featuring the 4th Doctor, Sarah and Harry in brand new adventures. Chris's work is also included on the inside when you open up the vinyl like that. Now, there's a little bit there for you from the actual book. There's a couple of photographs in there as well, but I think that works absolutely fantastically. It's got a lovely 1970s retro feel to this. So the stories in this are the Sinister Sponge, the Vampires of Crelium, On the Slippery Trail, The Mission, and plus A New Life and Vast there from the 1976 Doctor Who annual, The Psychic Jungle and Neuronic Nightmare. And then there's a few little features in there as well, as we covered before. So for more information on this, you can go to www.recordstoreday.co.uk. These are 140-gram clear vinyl LPs presented in the gatefold sleeve, as you can say. And the readings were produced by Neil Gardner, and the sound design is by David Darlington, who I didn't credit last time, so I'm crediting them now. 22nd of April, you can pre-order it now.
It's out in April. God, we've spoken about the vinyls before, and I understand the market for the classic stories, the soundtrack, Simon. You know, some of the artwork on those is beautiful, but I'd never actually buy those. It's just not. If I'm going to consume classic Doctor Who, I'll just go and watch it. I'm not knocking anybody who buys those. I think it's nice that they do well and they look stunning. But this looks like something, particularly for the anniversary year, really worth having. It looks beautifully put together, and with the short stories there, you can listen to one side, and then if you drop off, it's not the end of the world.
I think that's a really nice set, and I just remember this book so clearly. I just wonder whether, I'm assuming, JT, that they don't provide it with the little cards that the book originally came with. That's a shame. That's an opportunity missed.
The Typhoon code. Let's just explain for anybody new to this particular segment. The Amazing World of Doctor Who was part of a Typhoon tea bag promotion back in the 1976 here in the UK. It was national across the United Kingdom. So what they did in the tea box bag, oh, well, you know what I mean, right? You could get little cards, which I showed on the previous segment. Go back and have a look on the December show for Merchandise Paradise on the playlist, and you had little cards. You collected them, and then you stuck them on a poster. Yeah. The book itself was an annual type book, which was a one-off tied into that promotion. So it's wonderful. Now we've got it on vinyl coming out for Record Store Day this year. It's also going to be on CD from BBC Audio. Again, go back and look at December's Merchandise Paradise for the details on that. You can pre-order both now. But with this vinyl, no, you get the vinyls there, you get the stories, and it's exclusive to Record Store Day. Right now, you can only go to participating record shops across the UK to order this. But if you're interested, get in there and go and pre-order it, because I think this is going to be a real collector's item.
It's the best thing I've seen associated with the anniversary yet.
Oh, totally. I mean, this year is for me looking forward to what's going on. No disrespect to anybody, but there's nothing really that big. We've got the usual stuff. We've got the books. We've got the beautiful BBC audios. We've got some soundtrack stuff coming out, I believe, and we've got some clothing which we're going to go through very shortly as well. But this is because, so I am told, they are focusing more on next year with licenses.
Oh, well, I suppose you can see why with a new front man. Yeah, you can't put Tennant on loads of stuff when he's going to be gone a few months later.
Yeah, and it's also building up your audience again a bit, isn't it? I suspect they want to just bed that first and then. Yeah,
I just wish Charlotte that, again, like with this beautiful one-off and celebrating this thing from 76, they had done something for the original 7 Doctors in this anniversary year of the original show. If they had done some marketing on that way, or done some lovely merchandise there, there's a bit coming. We're going to deal with that in a minute. But some more of the classic re-releases, you know,
it would have made sense. It would have made so much sense. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So that's that for Record Store Day. Sorry, Dan.
We shall see, I suppose. They might surprise us. I would imagine there'll be like tie-ins and stuff to the anniversary trilogy, but there's got to be a few surprises.
There's the usual stuff. From what I hear, there's CDs coming, there's magazines coming. There's by that I mean Doctor Who special, the Radio Times thing on its way, of course. There was something else I heard. Oh, there's novels coming, and there's a making of, and there's a script. All that usual stuff based only on those 3 episodes. With that, but it's a shame that they're missing the big thing, which is the proper Doctor Who era in my eyes. But there we go. Okay, we're going to move on to books. I'm going to stay with books for a little while because you may have noticed recently that the next in the Target BBC Penguin Target series have been announced. Now these are all available from the 13th of July. You can pre-order them now. You've got Kablam, Planet of the Ood, The Saigon Invasion, which was held over from last year, Waters of Mars, and Warrior's Gate. They are $9.99 each if you're looking for these.
For
and as you can see, for a Target book.
Wow, that's something else. I'll keep it clean.
Paperback, $9.99 each. You can shop around. You might get some bargains now that the netbook agreement has long gone, but it's unlikely. I don't know what else to say about that one. As you can see, they're going for that sort of artwork on the cover again as well. We will show you the covers when I get them. Good luck. Okay.
I'm glad they're persevering in some senses. If there's a market for these, I just can't commit to buying. They don't interest me enough. I mean, I'll probably get the new Warrior's Gate with the Stephen Gallagher version, but I can't see me buying the new series books even. And I don't dislike these writers. In fact, Phil Ford in particular, I like him. Peter Harness. We're not a big fan of that story, but I'd kind of like to see how he would write that. But
this would interest me though, and New Who's what I grew up with. Yeah. But even for me, it's just I can watch the episode. Like why?
That's the fundamental problem, Charlotte. You know, the whole reason Target worked when it worked was because we couldn't watch the episodes. Yeah. That's why you had the Target novelizations. Yeah. So to novelize something that you've got half a dozen times on different formats, and it's probably still also available on streaming. I just don't, unless you're going to do something completely different with it.
That's what I was going to say. That's the only value I can see. Like you really add a lot from the television script.
And Warrior's Gate, I know for a fact, because that's based on, presumably that is just a print version of the audio book that was released a couple of years ago. And so that's markedly different from the television version that was screened. And so that has some legitimacy. But the other ones, unless they are going to do something wildly different with them,
I can't see them doing something wildly different because that's part of the whole. It's the novel of the TV show. But yeah, you're right with Warrior's Gate. It's the same as the Stones of Blood and Planet.
Yes.
But what they're doing obviously is they're aiming at completists who have to have those, like the DVDs of the Chibnall era. Yeah. They have to have these things on the shelf, and they're also looking at when it comes to these re-releases of stories that were out years and years ago, because it's done differently. They're looking at people like us going back and rebuying them. I'm thinking twice at $9.99 a book, and holding on.
I'm not imagining things. JT, I'm not imagining things. Am I? The last wave wasn't $9.99.
It was $7.99, and you can now currently get them on certain sites for $6.99 because they are in sales around the place through various retailers. But these are recommended retail price of $9.99. Now it is up to the retailer whether they charge that price because the netbook agreement was long gone. But that's the recommended retail price.
Ooh.
You have to shop around if you're getting them all. BBC
I think there's a lot of people who are buying these books that aren't actually reading them, and like you were saying, Simon, they want to have them on their shelves for reasons of. And we've all got a bit of OCD. We're Doctor Who fans, but
no, we don't. I don't have any OCD at all. I'm quite happy to cut things left, right, and centre. So no, all of us do.
We've got so many different types of Doctor Who books out nowadays.
Yeah.
We're going to stay with Chris Chatfield here, though. He says that I have the Witchfinders Target novel and the audiobook. It's excellent. Yes. They expand on the TV episode, which ideally they should do.
Fair enough.
And if Chris feels he got his money's worth, brilliant. I thought the Russell's Rose book was great, but it's committing to a line of 200 of these titles. That's That's where I resist. Sorry, JT.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, I have to point out as well. Excuse me. On the same day, the CD audiobook versions of those do come out. They are currently priced anywhere between $19.99 and $24.99. All right, we're going to stay with books now because the latest in the BBC and Penguin books of Doctor Who meeting mythology has been announced. Now, this is a 304-page paperback book coming out on the 24th of August. So this is Josephine and the Argonauts. Now, this joins the books that we've already had previously on Wizard of Oz, Robin Hood, Camelot and Treasure Island. And this is the Doctor meets the Greek myths in this brand new Doctor Who and Puffin Classics crossover. It was a kind of portal, so the blurb says, a portal into the myths of the ancient world. And everyone knows the Doctor loves museums. But when Joe Grant and the Doctor visit the British Museum in London, they may have got more than they bargained for. A mysterious object is revealed which grants those who touch it strange visions of Greek myths. Gods, warriors, and monsters are contained within this device, which it's discovered is called the mythoscope. But there is something sinister at play. A powerful influence seems to be controlling the mythoscope, mastering it. That could be a clue. Joe and the Doctor must enter the mythoscope to face an old and terrible enemy, bargaining with Zeus, battling dragons, and journeying into the underworld. As dangers beset them on all sides, only an object of wondrous power can save them from total destruction.
It sounds...
the title, though, was giving me a bit of a worry.
I say it sounds fine. I haven't read any of these. You've read a couple of them, haven't you, Charlotte?
I got the Camelot, Legends of Camelot over Christmas. And to be fair, I really enjoyed it. Like, because I wanted to get back into reading anyway. I've sort of gone off it for a couple of years. And I thought the pull was interesting enough. Let's have Doctor Who with these, like, the literature classics and the characters. So I thought that's enough of a difference for me to get interested. It was a Donna and 10th Doctor story, and they did really well getting their characters like I can remember from the TV show. Like the back and forward was there, the personalities were there, even like Donna's pushing us, which I was like, I wonder if they're going to really zone in on that, and they did, which was really nice. And what I really loved about reading it is, and why I'm going to get more, I'm just going to see what different like subjects they go into, is you can tell the author really loved King Arthur. They really wanted to explore in that playground and those set of characters. And it even because we know obviously Doctor Who's got that link with Merlin, and I don't want to give away too much, but it's not just a little reference. They actually do a lot with that idea with the overall plot. So I really enjoyed it.
I'm much keener, Charlotte, on this line of books and conceits like that. They don't have to be tied to a classic story or a new story, but I can see the value in these in the way that Simon. I like the fact that there's targets in some sense, but I see more value in this stuff because things have evolved. What targets were big because we couldn't watch the stories. Now we can. These are completely new. They're nice, slim volumes. They're going to appeal to the same demographic, ideally. To go with these.
I suppose the only problem is that where I'm coming from with all this, there's just a feeling of overkill for me. I don't know. It's all just getting very diluted down because it's all like fan fiction now. You know, back in the day, we would all have fanzines and they would put endless fan fiction in these fanzines. And now it's just being published by the likes of Penguin and sold for 10 quid. Whereas before it was just photocopied for 20p. I don't know. I'm just feeling a bit of burnout with the whole thing. You know, sometimes less is more. And unfortunately, Doctor Who has just become something of a license to print money. So it's just churn some more fan fiction out, chuck the logo on it and flog it for another 10 quid. And you know, it's the law of diminishing returns for me. There's just too much stuff out there now. There's too many of these books out there.
I agree. The only thing for me is the TV show. I don't care about big Finish or books or, you know.
With it. I'm done with that.
See, for me, it had the same appeal of like why I like the historical episodes. It sort of had that sort of connection to me. But like I said, that title, it shouldn't be Josephine. Is all I'm saying.
It should be
anything to do with Greek. It should be Jace. It should be a bloke. So I'm just a bit.
I think the gag is the fact that Joe's the companion. And Jay, isn't it? So I think it is. I think it's a gag, and it shouldn't be taken too seriously. But if you are buying these, and I don't know how popular they are, but this is the fifth, and I believe there is at least another 2 coming in the series, 1 or 2. This is $8.99. It's 304 pages, and you can pre-order it right now. Okay, and it's written by Paul Mars. I better say that, actually. I forgot to say that. It's written by Paul Mars. Okay, now something a little bit different for you, because I've been watching these for a little bit of time. They are very expensive, but they are currently in a sale. The Cyberman bust sculpture is now available from progressive.furnishings.co.uk as one of the retailers, but this is the one that got me. Now, these things have been around for quite a while, and you can see them in those sort of interior home places that are adjacent to garden centres.
Home essentials and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. You can also see them in various art shops around the country. You can also get variants like lions, you can get bears, you can get tigers. They're supposed to be garden ornaments, but I know a few people that have actually got them in their home and they've put lights in them and that sort of stuff. So the inside of the Cyberman lights up. If you're interested, as I say, it's progressive-furnishings.co.uk. The product now includes free delivery, and it's an estimated delivery of 3 to 5 days. If you want a quick or slow collection through the website, you have to contact them.
We did.
Okay.
Yeah, Shah says, "Oh my effing Guardian, we saw a similar one at the Who shop."
And I went up to the. I asked them how much it cost.
I can say right now, you cannot get these from the Who shop. I didn't want to mention that.
I know.
You can't buy them from the Who shop because they bought theirs in as well. They are only available from these certain places, and this is progressive-furnishings.co.uk. So please don't ring Alex and the team wanting for this, because they'll tell you to go away. They don't stock them.
It's quite nice. How big are they again, JT? Does it say?
The width is 230 centimeters, and the depth is 320, and the height, millimeters, and the height is 480 millimeters. So it's actually quite large.
Yeah.
They were, here's the price
large.
for you. If you're interested and you've got some Christmas grotzits left over, they were £345, but they've now been reduced to £315. Now they are very heavy as well. So when you get them, they come in a huge.
Are you having a laugh? Are you having a laugh?
No.
300 quid for that. Sorry. Blimey.
They are the Cybermen, of course. The Cyberman face there is actually the most popular out of this artist range, and they do produce quite a lot of different figurines. And the Cyberman is by far the most popular. So some people are buying them.
The value is in the weight, JT, with these things.
Sorry.
The value would be in the weight. It would be why they'd be.
Well,
worth
it's incredibly heavy. Yeah, I mean, I have physically seen one in a shop near me, and I didn't buy it, but I was very, very tempted to put myself in there.
People are quite shocked in the live chat here on YouTube.
It could look really nice with lights in it.
I was going to say it would look lovely.
Exactly what I was thinking.
But there are some people that have bought them, and on Merchandise Paradise, I like to look at different things. I like to show you what's out there, because you never know who's going to watch these things on YouTube, and they might be interested. They do, for an extra charge, ship abroad as well, if you want to look into that. All right. We just mentioned the Who shop there, who are not stocking that. But what I can tell you that they are stocking is the limited edition 60th anniversary jacket. This is available to order now. It features navy with the blue contrast full zip and inside collar, and the embroidered Doctor Who at 60 logo that you can see there is on the chest with the larger version on the back. There are various sizes available from Alex and the team over at www.thewhoshop.com. Now, I'm actually going to get one of these because I regret not getting the 30th anniversary one. That came out all those years ago.
Still stings after 30 years, mate.
Absolutely. Well, there's a certain person that I am aware of that has one. I know that has one of those, and it's still looking good now, even though it's on hanger in the cupboard. But you know, I should have got one of those, and I wish I hadn't, because they're now worth a fortune. So I'm not going to make the same mistake again. These are limited edition as well, and you can get them right now from thewhoshop.com. They are $99.99.
I think this is the kind of thing you would expect to see come out in an anniversary. I think this is cute, and I hope they do well for the Who shop, because if it's just on sale for the anniversary, it's.
Well, they were launched at a certain convention that was on recently in a weird land somewhere across the sea, and they did very well over there. So they're bringing the stock right back to Britain. So if you want one, get onto it this weekend. Get onto the website later on today or whenever you want, because they are limited. But I have a feeling that this is one of those things that, because it's got that particular logo on, like with what happened with the 30th anniversary version, it's collectible because it's a one-off thing.
Yeah, it's. Like I say, I hope it would be a quality garment, because that's a big tag. But It is the anniversary. Yes, Simon's like
Because actually, I think Simon needs to lie down after those prices.
Does anybody realise that we are actually going through something of an economic crisis at the moment? You know, there's a cost of living crisis out there.
But Simon, I will cover our merchandise for anybody because some people will want it.
No,
Some people
absolutely.
will
No. I'm
I
just flabbergasted at some of the prices of this stuff. That's all.
Yeah. Well, it's cost of production, isn't it? I mean, everything's gone up. Everything's gone up.
Chris Sheffield says, I like the TARDIS varsity jackets they do at the Who Shop. I don't think I've seen those. I'll have to look that up. I can't quite imagine that. But knowing Alex, hey, I can. Come to think of it, I probably can.
I don't think there is. I'll just say them there. I don't know. But I would say, no, not on that one. But I just want to give you... Oh, sorry, who's talking?
No, I'm just saying, do you think that they're going to have the... Cybermen helmet and the jackets in Primark, because Primark has everything, doesn't it? Disney, Marvel. So one day you probably see
$9.99.
Yeah, $9.99.
When Disney Plus,
and then I'll have one. I'll definitely buy one then. I'm rocking that.
Who knows? Well, who knows? I mean, years and years ago, Primark and Marks and Spencer's did have a range of Doctor Who stuff when David Tennant was the Doctor. So it might happen again. It depends on how big the show gets. I guess that's all in the future, isn't it?
Yeah. Very good point.
Another update for you on something that, what are you saying, Dan?
Michelle Hamilton says, get the smelling salts.
So where was it? Yeah, another update for you on another show that we talked about quite a while ago now on Merchandise Paradise was, as you may be aware, every single month, right up until November itself, Forbidden Planet is and has been producing a series of merchandise based around the various incarnations of the Doctor. We are now up to the 5th and 6th Doctor. So what you can see here is a collection of the merchandise. Now, that on the left is a coaster for your teacup. And that on the right is one of the 5th Doctor t-shirts. That's the illustration that's on his t-shirt.
My Doctor there, my Doctor. I kind of like that sort of neon adaptation there. I think that's pretty cool. I'm not so sure about the signatures in the swirl there. But generally speaking, I think this is nice. It's all nice stuff.
I think it's nice. I like the design. I really do.
Yeah, it's not too over the top. That's what I like about it.
The problem with t-shirts is that you have to get the right one because they always have that skinny fit, and if you got a bit of a belly, your belly comes out like that with a t-shirt.
You can't get them. You
got to get the right one. Sorry,
you can get from small to extra large on these sorts of things. The prices will vary on these. Just to let you know, Charlotte, as well, that these are actually the tasteful ones in my book that I want to present here. So it's a variety of 5th and 6th Doctor t-shirts coming up, some of which are absolutely awful. Again, you can see the designs for the 6th Doctor there for the coaster and the t-shirt. There are lots of other things coming up. There are mugs that are out right now on the Forbidden Planet shelves, and also you can get them from the Forbidden Planet website. There are loads of stuff going on, from t-shirts to mugs to hoodies to sweatshirts, all with these various designs. The Colin Baker ones go completely camp and crazy as well, because they have various quotes from him. There's various quotes for the Davison ones as well. There's a design which is complete patchwork, which you can get on t-shirts. It says "not a moment too soon," all this sort of stuff. There's far too much to actually show here, because we'd be here all night with all the stuff they've put out. But if you are interested in any of these, go and have a look, because, as I say, we're up to the 5th and the 6th Doctor. Next month is the 7th, and then after that, obviously, you know where it's going to. And if you don't, go back to the segments, Merchandise Paradise segments, and have a look for that particular one. I think it was August or October I told you about it. Go and have a look at that.
I do love that every Doctor, because every Doctor's somebody's favourite, aren't they? Well, most of them. Every Doctor's somebody's favourite, and they're all getting their own little line within the line. I think that's nice. And they couldn't do it every year, but this year, yeah.
Well, again, as we've alluded to here, it's just ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching all the way through, isn't it? Because it's basically the same stuff with a different design on it.
I'd just like to see something that was a bit more original. I mean, that's just sort of Photoshop pictures, just stuck together again, really cheaply and nastily. I mean, anybody could do that in their sleep. I just like, when I think back to sort of the 70s and 80s heyday, and we think back to something like Chris Achilleos or whatever, they were coming out with really striking original designs. And all we can manage in the 60th year is literally a cut and paste job in Photoshop.
Technology. Simon,
it's not. Let me just reiterate the fact that if there are other designs available, they're just a couple I've selected to illustrate the 6. If you go to forbiddenplanet.com, you will see all the other creative designs they've put out there, including the one with the celery on. And it's up to you if you want any of those. But there's far too many of them to look at and to illustrate. I think Ian would be totally asleep. So it's forbiddenplanet.com. Have a look at them all. The first Doctor ones are running out. The second Doctor ones I think have either gone or running out. The third Doctor ones have either gone out. The fourth Doctor ones are still available. Yeah, apparently a lot of the stuff is sold because it's all limited edition and it's all very there. So you have to get it while it's there. Okay, so finally for this edition of Merchandise Paradise, I just wanted to give a shout out to the latest issue of Doctor Who: The Chronicles. This is issue 7, and it deals with 1988. Yeah, 7 already. 1988. There you can see it there. It's a 116-page publication, obviously made by Doctor Who magazine, and this is looking as usual at the stories, the people, the events, and the news in 1988, the time when Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred, as the 7th Doctor and Ace, celebrated Doctor Who's 25th anniversary with 4 stories. It seems such a long time ago now that we're talking about the 25th, when we're actually in the 60th anniversary year this year.
Well, so those stories, I remember picking up Doctor Who magazine's own 25th anniversary special.
Absolutely, I do as well. That little hard, like they do now, actually, the graphic novels one.
Bound.
So posh. Just to remind you of the stories, of course, even though I know you won't know, it's Remembrance of the Daleks, The Happiness Patrol, Silver Nemesis, and The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. The bookazine, as they call these things, also includes exclusive articles, previously unpublished interviews, and rare behind-the-scene images. That is available right now. It has reached certain shops. It's £12.
12 now. I was going to buy all these. I haven't got the last couple simply because I haven't been able to find them. And it's the same with the standard specials. I'm a completist when it comes to DWM. The last range of bookazines, I couldn't keep up with those because it was ridiculous when those were coming out. So I'm now not a completist. And if the price of these is going up, I'm going to bail on these as well. There's just too much. And I'd say that with regret because this is a quality item and it's not repeated content that I can detect. And I love that. That logo looks beautiful there. It looks so right there. But they should either do these or the specials. Not both. It's way too much, and these do not need to be 12 quid. I don't care what they say.
Well, I'm afraid they are, and if you're interested, you can get them at panini.co.uk, obviously. You can also get the digital editions of all 7 from pocketmags.com. Yeah,
that's probably a good option.
From all the usual stockists, which include the Who Shop, Galaxy 4. You can get them from Amazon, I believe. I didn't check that one out, so apparently they're on there. You can get them from Who&A and all the usual stockists, as well as your local news agents who can get that in for you as well if they don't stock it. So there you go. That's Doctor Who: The Chronicles 1988. That rounds off this edition of Merchandise Paradise. Thank you very much for watching. Please give the video a like. I hope that's inspired you. As I say, go back and look at some of the other Merchandise Paradise segments as well, because a lot of that material is now becoming available or just about to become available because we do deal with the pre-orders. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. I think people are weeping into their wallets or purses there, JT, but I think, they're eyeing how many weeks till Christmas again? Can I buy this for myself? Can I gift it to another, whatever else? As always, I think there's some lovely pieces there for the anniversary year. I'm no doubt that things are going to get better, but there'll be something for everybody, I'd say. But let us know which one you pull the trigger on, whatever you want to call it. Let us know in the comments section or through our social media, Instagram and Twitter, at Type40 Doctor Who. And thanks as always, JT. Can't wait for the next trip to Merchandise Paradise. Yes, all that water, everybody. All that water, Ian, it can make one feel as if you need to go to the smallest room in the house. And this is an ideal opportunity, of course it is, for you to go and maybe hose down or load up if you're fine and you just want to fill up your mug again and get ready for the second half of Type 40 Live. So, here we are with some golden moments from television past, featuring some of our favourite faces and voices from Doctor Who history. The Type 40 ad break here coming up. We'll see you back here in a couple of minutes.
No matter how heavy your partner, there's no roll together with the ultimate sleep system from Silent Night.
Our last fly came together.
Had to end sometime, Susan.
Oh, Trevor, let me take this to remind me.
Well, no need. You can get dry cane at home, you know.
But you've touched it, Trevor.
Yes.
And that's very precious to me.
Oh, but I touched the ashtray. Take that, Susan.
No, it's not the same.
Yes, but
Oh, Trevor.
It's my last bottle. Susan. You cried on the dry cane. Let me keep it. Next to my pillow.
Oh, Trevor. I understand.
Dry cane. Life would be unbearable without it.
Mr. Sharwood, can I have your esteemed opinion on my latest creation?
Delighted, Mr. Benedict. Succulent chicken, fenugreek, coriander, and fresh ginger. A perfectly excellent chicken korma. If you could deep freeze it, I'd take a few plates.
This way forward. How deep do you want it frozen?
At last, authentic Indian food from the freezer.
If anyone would, Sharwood.
We are the supreme beings!
Join the Dalek Empire! Build your awesome Dalek spaceship! Journey through time and space! Moving to attack position!
Scanning now, engaged!
Let the invasion of Earth begin! The Dalek spaceship from Character Building!
Hey! Hope you enjoyed the adverts there. A few blasts from the past. Welcome back to Type 40 Live, your live stream magazine format Doctor Who show, clocking all the fixed and not so fixed points in the Whoniverse, both off and on screen, whether you prefer the fourth or fifth dimensions. I'm Dan Hadley, and I'm still here with a live chat full of companions here on YouTube and Facebook, as always, and the panel here in the console room. We've got Charlotte Shields, JT, Simon Horton, and Ian David Diaz here. Oh, JT, how are you feeling?
Not too bad. Carry on.
Yeah, so get an iron brew down you, just like Kazza does, and we'll get stuck into some more Doctor Who nonsense here, because Doctor Who has been trending here over the last few days. It's been a big one in fandom, not least of all because off in a faraway land, JT, I don't know if it's paradise. I've never been, but some of the pictures look absolutely beautiful of the hotel, the Marriott Hotel, the Marriott Airport Hotel in Los Angeles. That's been the destination of choice for those that have been lining up, booked up for Gallifrey 133 and a third. Long live the revolution, whatever that means. So this is, obviously Gallifrey 1 is the biggest Doctor Who convention in the calendar now. Takes place an ocean away from us in Britain, obviously, which does sting a little bit, I won't lie. But people do team out there, a few thousand people, and revel in their love of Doctor Who. So there's lots of cosplay going on, lots of guests from the show and from the audios and from the books and the whole Whoniverse surrounding it. And these conventions have been going since around 1989, I think it is. So there's been 30. I think they had a break for the pandemic, Simon. Do you remember they did drop off for a little while, did they? But you've always wanted to go to Gallifrey 1 as well, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, really, really want to go. But I kind of think, why are we not doing more conventions, big conventions in the UK?
Yeah.
You know, Drost used to do Panopticon, and that was massive, and it was brilliant. Back in the day, it was brilliant. Why do we not get our own massive convention here anymore? Can we not do it? Seriously, there are more Doctor Who fans probably in the UK than there are in the USA.
Because over here, we don't respect it, that's why.
Well, I think we've got to... excuse me. I think we've got to wait, because they did do something for the 50th. They are bound to do something for the 60th, because it's money-making.
But they do this every year, JT, in the...
I know, because it's run by fans and stuff like that, and it's turned into that sort of business now. And they've got to a point now after so long where they're making money on it as well, which is great for them. Well done. But, you know, it's quite difficult here in the United Kingdom because everything that currently is so expensive, and it's such a shame that the 60th anniversary year has come at a time when our prices are rocketing. You know, to rent places and stuff is astronomical. If you're looking at some of our UK conventions, the prices for a day event,
terrible.
Crikey, you know?
In their defence, I'm looking at conventions like the Capital, the DWAS event. I'm looking at the stuff that they do at the Quad. What's it called in Derby?
Hooverville.
What's that? Hooverville. And I see they do seem to get bigger every year.
Is that what it's called? Hooverville.
They call it Hooverville, yeah. And they do get. I don't know why either. Steve, why did you call it?
It's because it's historically because it is the Derby Hoovers, WHOOVERS. That's what the group used to be known as, the Derby Hoovers.
Well, it sounds rubbish.
What? Don't blame me.
I think it was fine for when they. I mean, obviously, maybe we'll have to get Steve Hatcher on, and he can explain yourself, Steve. I don't know. It's quite
great. One sounds more cooler, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it?
Cooler.
Yeah. That's the thing. I think that perhaps we do in the UK need to step up a little bit with these things and think grander.
It's like Simon says, back in the day. I mean, I actually quite enjoyed the time when the show was off. Because Panopticon with Dom was going so well.
Yeah.
It was, and then when the bloody thing came back, everybody clamped down in the UK. You've got to do this, you've got to do that. It became quite dictatorial in a sense, and that's a fact. Oh, you can't do that because we're not getting any money of it, a certain organisation said, and you can't do this, and you can't. And I mean, no wonder people gave up on it because it's quite difficult to do these things. And then when they do their own thing, like with the 50th, that was a massive success to them. It has a knock-on effect to the smaller ones, and because we're not America and we can't work the same as America, and neither should we. We've got to look at other ways of doing stuff and what have you. But I do miss those days when the show was off air. I'll be very honest, because it was wonderful. You could go to every other weekend.
When there was no Doctor Who on. A lot of people do feel that way. I can't knock you for it.
It was brilliant because we got to know each other properly and in a common sense way, in a human way, without all this bitterness that's going on in Doctor Who fandom and all these factions. And you just had a laugh, and when you got to a certain age, you had a drink, and it was fun back then, and they weren't as monitored because a certain organisation just really didn't care. Really,
you felt like you belonged. I remember going to one of, I can't remember, it was a really tiny one, right? And I remember it was in Battersea Arts Centre. They had something really small in the Battersea Arts Centre.
Oh, right, yeah.
Going there and meeting people that I've never met before, and you felt that you belonged. Because like for a long time, when you were a Doctor Who fan, you felt ostracized. You like that show, Doctor Who, and you'd be laughed at. You know what I mean? And you turn up and you see all these people just like you, just felt like you belonged. Doesn't it? It's not like that anymore, though.
It's not really. You have to fit in a certain group.
Yeah.
I think it's like it in certain pockets, and I do think it is a little cliquey. I think there is a certain element to that too. Does anybody know? Jack Thursby asks here, Simon, what happened to the Panopticons and when did they finish? Because I've been to some of them.
I don't know why they stopped. I mean, the last one I seem to remember going to was probably late 90s, maybe 2000, early 2000s. I don't know why they stopped them, and why we then started doing
Type 40con.
Why they then started doing them as capitals, I don't know.
Yeah, I think they
a much smaller event than Panopticons were.
I think they morphed because various people were coming away from the organization of it anyway, and actually leaving
Andrew Beach and people like that.
Yeah, and Dom and everybody like that were moving, and they were getting on with their lives, obviously. And I think it morphed into Capital, to be quite honest, because the last Panopticon I was at would have been for the 40th anniversary, the Ruby edition, where Paul McGann was introduced to fandom for the very first time. I'll always remember that.
I remember that too.
Because he got standing ovation for about 10 minutes. It was incredible. They hadn't announced him, so when he walked on with the lovely, the glorious India Fisher, he was like that, and we're like, oh god.
Raymond Williams says, "Who stars like Paul want the sunshine in February? All expenses paid." I can't knock them for that.
No, LA is
not a place that I want to be nowadays, says Robert Brooks. I've never been. We've got a comment here from where is it? Where I've just had it on the screen. What are the dates for the Type 40con? Don't tempt me, Jack. Don't.
Yes.
I know we can actually meet each other physically. Like you guys haven't met me physically yet.
I mean, you can come and meet me at Invasion Blackpool 2023, which is happening on the 30th of April. I've got my tickets the other week. So excited about that. Blackpool, the spiritual home of Doctor Who, which I've talked about before on this show about doing something there. It's there. So have a look at it. Invasion Blackpool 2023 on Facebook. The tickets are available right now. So that's good.
We ought to get together, JT, in a few days' time, and maybe do an extra. Like, you can tell us all about this convention, and we can talk about. We can go in on how people can book up for it and what's there, because I know you're deep into that. You know a lot about that.
I saw a donkey.
Comment. You saw a donkey. David Mullins says they did Manopticons in the early noughties. I remember those as well.
I remember those. Yes.
I was there as well, David. Yeah.
You were there? Oh my God. I would have been there as well. That dingy hotel, whatever it was called.
Yeah.
Chav, you sharp. Wait till I get my hands on you.
Pay me for something in that hotel.
Do people still meet at the Fitzroy Tavern like they did during the wilderness years?
I think they do, JT, don't they?
I heard it's not quite the same, which is possibly a good thing considering the clickiness that came out of it.
Now, obviously, none of us have been to LA. I would like to go to Gallifrey One just to, but not for Gallifrey One, though, have you?
No.
So I'd kind of like to go to Gallifrey once to be there and get the T-shirt and all that kind of thing. Now, a few people who went this year, and thanks to social media, to Twitter and Instagram and all the rest of it, and to #Galley1, I've seen more photographs from this Gallifrey one than I think all the others put together. So I feel now that I've got a taste to Charlotte of what the atmosphere may be, because it's kind of hard to imagine, because Doctor Who being so British.
Yeah, and obviously it's like the American sort of translation almost is the impression I've always got of the convention. I've never been, but just the pictures, it looks like very much Britishness mixed with American, sort of this weird hodgepodge is the impression.
Every Doctor Who event I've ever been
now, Disney.
Yeah.
Every Doctor Who event I've ever been to, Ian, like stuff I used to go to, like with Simon and various things in Coventry and all that, you know. Every single time you'd look out the window and it would be pissing down. So the idea, but that was all part of the atmosphere. Yeah. But to look out the window and you see these amazing blue skies and actual plants that are full of life and not dying on the vine, I just can't quite imagine it. Jack Thursby asks here in lieu of a Type 40 con, how much do you charge for a signed photo, Simon?
And I said, how many do you want? There's a lot of them to go around. You can have as many as you want.
You don't want to ask.
I've got people. This is really capturing people's imagination. If they want a cabaret, they want the lot. Goodness me, Gary Browser, don't you? You may not be careful what you wish for. If I start singing, my friend, after a couple of pints, but I'm happy to say. Oh, shut up. No, seriously, Ian, this is the best bit, though, because even though we weren't there, we can sort of be there when we take a look at this slideshow here. So these are pics from Gallifrey One. So this is a little taster of what was kicking off. And obviously, there's all those people. I can't remember how many guests were there in the end. It was well over 100. But one of the mainstays has to be Katie Manning. So I thought we'd start with Katie Manning. There she is in her shades, as stylish as ever. Even though she's into her 70s now, you'd never know it. She's so youthful. And there's that hotel there, the Hotel Marriott Airport Hotel. And there's several people who went this year, Simon, the people that we've talked to on the podcast.
Are they?
It's nice to see them all together. But I was a little surprised to see pictures.
There's not many there.
That's when Jodie turned up. There you go.
So it was all going on. There's lots of cosplay there, obviously, and people really throwing themselves into it. And this is what conventions are really like now, isn't it? Cosplay is such a massive part of it for people.
Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it? I mean, I can just remember when back in the day when we were going to them in the 80s and the 90s. You know, the people who would turn up in costumes you avoided them. You kind of
there were very few
to the other side of the room to get away from them because you were just like, okay, those are the weirdos. And yet now that's it. That's the norm. And we're the weirdos for not dressing up. It's weird.
I'm not ever going to say that I feel like I'm a weirdo for not dressing up. I mean, if people want to dress up at these things, that's fine. But I'm still of that ilk by thinking, I mean, this is another thing that came over from the American fandom, you know, and people got hold of it. Now, I love it when the little kids do it because I think that's great. I'm indifferent to adults doing it, but if they're getting something off their chest at these things,
absolutely,
I don't harm in it. But I still will look at them funny.
I don't
There's
know.
two previous
really
Type
think,
40 guests there. We've got Matthew Jacobs and Kenny Smith from the
really
Big Finish magazine.
I really do think that there are some really creative cosplay people out there. They create some amazing costumes. I've been to conventions that they're incredible, absolutely incredible.
They do put the time in.
Yeah, I take my hat off to them because it takes effort and time and love to make
and patience. That's what I'm always impressed with, the amount of patience
and money too.
You know what you were just saying though, Ian, about Gallifrey? Gallifrey 1 sounds fantastic.
Yeah,
seeing these pictures, even though the amount of people there, I think it seems like a nice, a decent bunch of people, considering it's so far away. I'm a little surprised that they don't make more of it inside. It's got a grand name. They've got more guests than everybody else, and yet when you look at the stage, it looks a little tawdry compared to a couple of the smaller British events, like Who at the Playhouse a few weeks ago. You know, there was cardboard stand-ups there of Cybermen and Daleks and all sorts of things. Here, it's just like a black curtain, and that's that. And I find that surprising. That's Jamie Magnus Stone there on the right, Charlotte.
Who are all these people? I don't recognise any of them.
Well, Jamie's
director. Yeah,
Jamie's directed some of Chibnall's era.
Yeah,
some of them are just fans that look like they're having a good time in their cosplays and whatever else, and other people are people who've been on the show, and that's Simon Gurrier, the writer.
That is lovely, very good.
You know, I mean, they're amazing people. People are into this stuff. I really do like people that are into Doctor Who and all kinds of fandom because I find them fascinating. They're far more interesting to talk to than just the normies, in my opinion. So I love them. I think they're great. All of them.
People were surprised that there wasn't more news that came out from Gallifrey 1 this year, Charlotte. Not many people said much. Even Big Finish didn't really announce much, and they usually do. They took a lot of voice actors out there, and I would imagine they shifted a lot of gear, but they didn't announce anything. Were you surprised we didn't actually hear more, Charlotte?
I was surprised. I thought we're not going to get anything show-wise announced, but I thought we might have got more maybe from Big Finish or some more sort of like more people surrounding the brand and actually being in it. I thought they usually tend to use this as their time to announce, and we didn't get anything. So I was surprised about that.
Yeah, I had to include this. That Nicolas Cage as Cassandra is
classic.
Well, funny ass.
There'll be lawyers' letters in the post, I'm sure.
So that's
Cassandra again.
Yeah. So again, there's a lot of these TARDIS tops are kicking around, aren't they? You know, people don't have to go in cosplay, but people wear their colours. I think that's Gary Russell there with Simon Gurrier, Matthew Sweet. So there's panels of various people. I was going to say the people who are connected with the Blu-ray range or the audios or whatever else, and they're there. But I just expected to see more posters. But I love this picture of Bonnie Langford with a scarf of ribbons and things there.
Well, at least you can see them. They're not hidden away in a box like last time me and Charles went to the thing and everybody was hidden away. At least they're sitting there at a table. You can see them.
It's a different organizer though, Ian, isn't it? I mean, they all do it very, very differently. I mean, I've been to lots of these things in the past. We didn't have boxes or anything like that. And then when things started to come in, like, we've got to charge you for a photograph.
Yeah.
That's when you went into different. I think it depends on the layout and what you're doing. And of course, some of the artists will have certain criteria that you have to follow as well.
Yeah. I mean, you look at them; they're all enjoying themselves. You know, they dressed up and stuff. They love Doctor Who. It's a great thing, in my opinion. You can't. I mean, yeah, more normies will go, oh, a bunch of idiots and stuff. But seriously, you know, they're great. I think all of them are great. If you're a fan of something and you love it, you know, just express it, and that's what they're doing. You know, you can take your hat to them. Really.
And it's also having that ability to meet these people. Like we were talking about this on the Confession show, but it's such a big thing that. I can meet either a companion that it's my favourite or a doctor. I think that's just a massive part of these things as well.
Yeah, they seem to enjoy it. I mean, particularly the classic actors who've known each other for a long time, JT. I dare say they see a lot of one another every few weekends, maybe, but they seem to really enjoy each other's company. I imagine some of it is for the punters' benefits, but it's nice to see them laughing and joking like this, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, and that's what it's all about. I mean, they've been doing it for so long now. They know the routine, and in a sense as well, the whole format of conventions hasn't actually changed. You have your panels, you have your presentations, you have your signing panel now. You've always got the merchandise room for the dealers.
I love this girl's socks. Sorry, JT, I love those socks.
Yeah. So, but the great thing about the actors, because they have been doing it, and because they are, it's a good job that the majority of them all get on, because they do see each other all the time. The thing about this year, of course, is that they'll say lots of yeses to lots of different things, because what will happen next year, just as what happened with the 50th, is next year will be fairly quiet, because it's all focus again, as is becoming a tradition, after an anniversary, get a new fella in the lead. So all the focus goes on to him. So I think there'll be a quietening down next year of the convention. So pack them in while you can this year. It's a big year. And good luck to them. And I hope they're enjoying it, but they're going to be knackered come New Year's Day.
Look at that. It's fantastic. Look. I mean, the effort these people make is incredible.
Look at that big panel there. I mean, you've got Wendy there, you've got Fraser, you've got Katie, you've got Colin, and you've got Janet, and you've got Bonnie. And who's that on the end? I would imagine that's Sophie.
Maybe.
Yes, it was Sophie, yeah.
Oh, no, there's Sophie in the red, so I don't know who that is there. There we go.
It's a shame, really, that we don't have something as big as that over here, because this is the original place for Doctor Who. We should really have something massive, shouldn't we? Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, we did do, as we've mentioned before, Panopticon was the one that Gallifrey actually modelled itself on, to be blatantly honest. And the format there, let's get a big shout out to Dom, because he put the format down and he built Panopticon up with members of the Dwaz team, and it became a giant. And then other spin-offs came, like the Panopticon we've talked about, and the things in Sheffield that used to go on, and all these. So they are, but again, it's a case of, we're in a quandary here in America. We're not as cash rich as America can be. We don't have the same sort of, we have the venues nowadays, especially, but when you're charging that much, it's very difficult. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. I was telling him about how I've got my tickets to the Blackpool gig, and he said he might not go to that particular one because he's going to several others.
Yeah.
But he's going to look at it, and there's a possibility he still would. That's the thing about Britain, isn't it? Really, So hopefully, we've just got to support as many as we can in the various areas of our country, and hopefully they'll get bigger.
So I don't want to be a British convention instead of an American one. Ian,
no, I want one just as big in England, because this is its home. So it really should be focused on England, and the Americans should come over here. Do you know what I mean?
Britain.
Yeah, in Britain, yeah. So
it's JT, we're not as cash rich now. Most of the world isn't right now, says Kelly. It's expensive to go to cons nowadays, says Lord Thoth.
It is a bit, yeah.
I think when it comes to cash rich there, I'm not talking about the individual, I'm talking about some of the businesses. Now, that convention is cash rich. They've been doing it for long enough now. They've budgeted themselves properly. They've done it correctly. They've organized themselves as a business. I mean, look what they're doing there. Look how many people they got over there from the United Kingdom on extremely expensive flights, plus the hotel.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What do they do? The ticket price goes up a little bit. It's all down to choice as well. Do people want to go? Obviously they did, because people were going from the United Kingdom over there as well. Hugely expensive to get over there from the UK just now. That's what I mean by that.
Yeah.
I thought we'd end as we started there with Kate Lee's smiling face, the fairy godmother of Doctor Who. Did you see that shot of her clambering up on stage there to get on the Sarah Jane Adventures panel, Simon?
Is that what it was? I could see it was Katie Manning. You can tell
I thought she fell over.
Well, Katie's just had work done on her eyes, hasn't she? Before she went over to America.
As I understand it, yeah.
Bless her. Bless her.
Yeah, but she's still lovely.
Right.
So what though? Those kids must be like proper adults now. If it's Sarah Jane Adventures.
Yes.
They are. I think Daniel Anthony, who played Clyde, is now 37 years old.
Oh, no, don't tell me that.
Wow.
A retro doc Gary Akers. Now, I know that Gary used to go to every Gallifrey one and stopped a few years ago with the coming of a certain somebody. Says it does look more sparse and spread out than I'm used to. Okay. So he's noticed a change there. Could it be they've changed the carpet, Gary? Or is there just fewer people there? I mean,
maybe they've got more rooms because they can afford more rooms in a hotel. Remember, the hotels will, I don't want to say charge by the hour and charge by the room, but that sounds rude. But it's a case of when you're looking into doing these conventions, they can say, well, that event room there is so much, and if you want that, that's so much. But we'll do you a deal, and the deal is somewhere in the middle. Yeah. So maybe that's a possibility. Maybe they've just spread it into a bigger area.
They would have done, wouldn't they? The organisations would have made a deal with all the hotels so they can bring the actors and whoever.
There's a reason to go back to the same hotel every year because it's guaranteed business for them. So it's a good deal. If you say, right, okay, we'll give you this as long as you come for 5 years. Ka-ching. That's a good deal.
Exactly.
Jack Thursby says the last con I went to was 2019, and it was expensive then, but I got to shake hands with Tom Baker, so it was worth it.
Yeah, bless him.
That's the kind of value you get out of this stuff. Lord Thoth says the BBC has forgotten how many fans are in North America for Good Who. They are literally throwing around millions of dollars. Confident.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Lord Thoth, that the BBC's forgotten?
I think what he means is that the BBC's forgotten that they've got a cash cow in Doctor Who. And then they've abandoned their American fans to the last era.
I'm not so sure that they have, and we might be seeing certain changes. You never know, because as Ian mentioned earlier, we do have a little mouse involved now.
Exactly.
Gary continues.
During the Whittaker and Chibnall era, you could see that they just completely had given up trying to market it over there, trying to really
Gallifrey one used to sell out within a week of the tickets becoming available, something silly like that. And after Series 11, they weren't selling out, in fact, at all. I think for a couple of years. So for one event, then the pandemic happened. But yeah, they went from selling out almost instantly to just not being able to shift the tickets. I think this one did slightly better, but there was more variety of people. More variety of people were there. Gary says the con takes.
It's a big year. The fan. I mean,
exactly.
Whether we're invested in the modern version or not, it's the 60th anniversary of the original series. We're sort of gravitating together in a sense to be able to say thank you, Hartnell, Troughton, Pertwee, Baker 1, Davison, Baker 2, McCoy. Thank you so much. So it's pulling, in a sense, us all together to actually just do something, because it's a huge.
And it should. It really should. That's what I'm hoping the BBC, if they've got any sort of direction for their plans for the 60th, it needs to be that coming together again. It needs to be mending. It needs to be fans being able to remember, God, we used to love talking about this show together and doing things together. That's what the BBC needs to focus back on desperately.
I don't think they are going to, though.
I would be stunned if there's nothing announced in the summer for November.
Yeah, there will. I mean, I've certainly heard that there's
everybody
a big
will be back
comment.
to the Excel.
Gary continues here and says the con takes up the entire bottom floor, including meeting rooms, panel rooms, dealers, and art rooms, etc. So it does look like a lot of floor space.
Entire bottom floor. Wow. So there's another floor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's Eric Roberts? Asks Zombie Box Reviews. I wanted to see if he's dressed for the occasion. Very good. Very good.
Because
who invited Chibnall? Asks Matt Pot. Good morning, Matt. Hope you're well, mate.
McGann and his crew weren't there, were they?
McGann was there, I think.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, I think he was there. McGann was
Paul
there.
McGann wasn't there this time.
Oh, wasn't he? Oh.
No.
No, that's a shame.
No, he wasn't. But maybe he will be next year. I mean, I did want to go to that Gallifrey one, it being the 60th. A couple of the people that were present as announced as major guests really just turned me off instantly. There's no way I'm traveling all that distance to be in the same room as a couple of those people.
Well, Chibnall.
Yeah. Chibnall and Whittaker. I don't want to be the same continent of them if I can avoid it, but it's no. I'll go another year when the headline acts are people I'm actually interested in, who have something interesting and insightful to say. And sure enough, not a great deal was said about anything at Gallifrey one, but I do think it looks like, in all seriousness, I'm very happy for our fellow fans who got to go there. And I'm certainly really grateful for everything that's been shared under the hashtag Gally1 on Twitter and other social media platforms, because it's lovely to see people coming together, having fun, whether I know them personally or not, seeing their creativity, seeing their passion. And it's even more so for the 60th anniversary year. They've announced the following one. This is 2024's event. It's called Gallifrey One's Miracle on 34th Street. It's the 16th to the 18th of February 2024. Again, why, Sean, why do you do this? Is the thing about this. It's so cringy, the names for these things. Sean, a Christmas do in the middle of February. Come on, mate.
That's
Come on.
crazy.
I don't understand why he insists on these themes, because they never carry it through on the show. As far as I'm aware, it never carries through for the weekend. So why bother? Just call it Gallifrey One. There's your date. Get on with it. Stop being so bloody pretentious.
It's naff, isn't it? But then again, maybe people like the naffness. I've never been, so who am I to judge? But that's the next one. Yeah, I think you can get your tickets for that. You can book them up now. And I've got several comments in the chat saying the same. But yeah, let's see where it goes. Obviously, that'll be post the anniversary trilogy and in the rollout to Shooty being on screen.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think we as fans in the United Kingdom need to support and concentrate on the British conventions that are happening this year. Never mind what's going on in America. We really need to start, because if we're going to get anywhere as big as Ian wants them to be, we have to go and we have to support them. Because we've lost several in the last 20 years, 10, 20 years. We want the ones that are around to keep going.
Specialist shops, conventions. Nothing's come through to take their place. Is it the specialist shops, the conventions, all that kind of side of fandom? In this country, we've sort of left it to other people to do.
Absolutely, we have. And when something comes along, fans are quite privileged as well, and they want everything like this. But you have to wait for actors to sign contracts. You have to wait for venues to do this. It's all budget. You have to pay these people to come. There's expenses involved with it. It's a big issue. Yeah. And then you have to sell the tickets and get people to come. But in the United Kingdom, we really need to look at, right, okay, well, let's do this. And I know there's a contingent of fans that are traveling around, like my friend Richard. Hi, Richard. Who will go to an awful lot of them, but he tends to plan things at the end of one year for the next year. And this year, he was so excited. Yeah. So, but we need these places to go and get together and be face to face with each other again, and to talk to people and be polite with people and have polite, honest conversations like we used to again. We've got to support them.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said. This is obviously the 60th anniversary year for Doctor Who. Conventions happening all over the shop. And celebrities, actors and personalities obviously getting involved when they can. I think the best is yet to come for the whole of the anniversary year. Gallifrey 1, no offense. Hopefully it'll end up being kind of warm up act to something bigger, something really international and something fitting and official. And something in the UK would be absolutely brilliant. Let us know what you think of all of that in the comments section, and we'll let you know if we hear something when we hear it. That's how that's going to work. What's next?
Behind that strip, Dan?
Creative license.
No idea.
Behind that script.
No idea what you mean. It's the watermark.
Click the buttons. Click the buttons. Like and subscribe. Click the buttons. Click the buttons. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
That's sound from Star Wars.
Thanks, guys.
That's R2.
It's R2. What's it doing on the Doctor Who live stream? I have no idea.
Intertextuality.
Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the cloister bell, just like the Daleks say. Thanks, JJ. Don't forget Avenue Who as well on YouTube. Go and check out what the hooligans are at, where they're dragging JJ off to next. Heaven only knows. I have to catch up with him at some point. But after all that FOMO, I think it's time we warm ourselves, retire to the fireside with a hot drink, and I'm certainly going to get some more ibuprofen down me, and we can put our feet up and be swept away to happy times, to classic times, again with old friends, and once again in the company of the Doctor.
Well, hang on, before you do that, I'm going to have to say goodnight because I've got to go. So thank you. It's lovely to see you all. I'm going to have to go.
It's so nice to have you back.
And look after yourselves. Bye-bye.
Take care. Get the bills down, you mate. Take care. Night. Yeah.
He wasn't well. Poor fella.
Yeah. And just like that, he's gone. This is your cue, Simon.
Yes, folks, welcome. It is finally back. Various people have been asking, and yes, it's back. The very, very first diary of the anniversary year. For newbies here that don't know what we do in this little bit, this is just a little bit of the diaries when we take a look back at what was happening in years gone by, right the way back to 1963, right up 60 years later. Can't believe it. We're just taking a little bit of a deep dive back into the past as we dip into the diary again. incredibly, there were 25 new episodes screened in this week in years gone by. We can't possibly talk about all of those, so we're just going to talk about a couple of them. Today, this very day in years gone by, 1974, you might have been settling down to the beginning of Death to the Daleks. 1982, the Visitation was just finishing. 1983. 1983 Terminus was just finishing, and it felt terminal at the time, I have to say.
I've got a story I have to tell about Terminal one day. Got a Terminus one day.
1984, Planet of Fire was just kicking off. 1985, The Two Doctors was in the middle, right in the middle. And so what you could have been looking at all of those episodes today in years gone by. What you wouldn't have been watching, in fact, from 1980 is this, because the final episode of Sharda should have been screened on this day, this very day in 1980, 43 years ago. You could and should have been sitting down to the final episode of Sharda, but it never got there, incredibly. It's amazing, isn't it, when you think about it, that Sharda, the famous cancelled story that
myth that's built up around it.
Yeah, and for people that maybe don't know their classic Who as well, basically Sharda was a Tom Baker story that would have closed out season 17, as I say, back in 1980, and it got cancelled due to industrial action after around about a half of it in total had been produced, recorded, filmed. And since then, it's had it's had at least 6 releases that I can work out. From the video back in the 1990s, a book, an audio, a digital series with Paul McGann, just an incredible number of releases since. And of course, a couple of years ago, season 17 finally came out on Blu-ray. And we were finally able to see a proper episodic form of Sharda with the animation, with the voiceover recorded by the correct artist right the way through. Every single actor that was in the original show is in that animation. Doesn't quite work for me, I have to be honest. The animation is not really very good, in my opinion. The voiceover recording just doesn't match the audio quality of the studio and the location from
every time I think I've seen the final ultimate version of Sharda, Simon, somebody else makes another one.
They'll bring it out again.
They'll bring it out again
at some point. And I have to be honest, I don't think it's a good story personally. It's by far, I think, Douglas Adams' weakest script for the show. It can't even hold a candle to
as far as I'm concerned, it's the same problem I always have with the 6-parters. It's 2 episodes too long.
You're quite right.
Nothing that editing the damn thing down wouldn't have fixed.
You're quite right. It would have been a cracking. It would have been a cracking 4-parter. But yeah, I don't know what. Pete Harrison says it's a nice collection on the a nice version on the Blu-ray collection. Yeah, it's probably as good as it's ever going to get.
Why didn't they finish it, Simon?
Because of industrial action.
No,
they basically
afterwards.
Afterwards, they tried really, really hard. John Nathan, by the point that it was shelved. Graham Williams, as the producer, was just leaving the show. John Nathan Turner was just taking over, and JNT tried really, really hard to get it finished. But the BBC, God bless them, wouldn't give him the studio space to finish it off. They just would never allow the studio space to go over to Doctor Who. It was considered that after the strike, so many other shows had suffered that they decided Doctor Who just wasn't important enough. Wow. And so it just never got made. And JNT tried so many times through various ways to get it broadcast. And finally, it got completely written off at the end of 1980, in December 1980. It was finally written off by the BBC. But it's interesting because, as I say, it was the very last show that Graham Williams would have produced had it gone out. It was also the last time Douglas Adams worked on the show. It was the last ever 6-parter. We don't really class. I don't think that the Two Doctors as a well. Is it a 6-parter? Not really. Not a true classic 6-parter. When you think about it, amazingly, Sharda episode 6 would also have been the last time we ever heard the Delia Derbyshire theme in its original proper true form.
Yeah.
It was the last time we would have seen the tunnel title sequence and the diamond logo. This would have been very today,
momentous
43
in so many
years
ways.
ago, would have been the very, very last time you would ever have seen that diamond logo until today, until now. The last Dudley Simpson score, so many lasts for Sharda. The last time David Briley would play K9. It was the last time we ever saw the Doctor's brown coat and multicoloured scarf. Let's not forget, you didn't see the multicoloured scarf after the end of Sharda, as it would have been broadcast.
Yeah, the purple one, didn't he?
He moved the following season. We all went burgundy.
Yeah.
And here's an interesting one, because Sharda episode 6, had it gone out, would also have been the very, very last time we would have seen the original Barry Newbury TARDIS prop, which had been introduced a few years before in The Mask of Mandragora. So this prop had been kicking around through a good part of the Tom Baker years, and it would have been the very, very last time we saw that one, because then again they had a new prop. And by the bizarrest timey-wimey coincidence, rather sad coincidence, this week actually also marks 8 years since we lost the designer of that TARDIS prop, the great Barry Newbury, who died on the 25th of February in 2015. So this week in 2015, aged 88. And he was an absolutely legendary designer of the classic show. He got 62 credits across 14 stories. And let's not forget, he worked on the very, very, very first story, An Unearthly Child. So Barry Newbury, cast a long shadow over the series, and we lost him, as I say, 8 years ago in 2015.
So I wouldn't describe him necessarily as a visionary, but he's certainly a very, design-wise, a very resourceful man, very clever designer, economical designer.
Absolutely.
And his stuff absolutely set the standards, set the template in place for Doctor Who that has, pretty much still lasted to this day. It certainly looks like it's going to go back to that to some extent with what we've seen of the new TARDIS. So, this man's work has lasted.
Yeah, you hope so. And there it is in the background of the shot there. There it is. That's the Barry Newbury TARDIS that kind of did set something of a template for TARDISes for many years to come. And that, as I say, 43 years ago, you would have been watching Sharda, but you couldn't watch it. Moving further back now, incredibly, this makes me feel very, very old. 51 years since the Sea Devils episode 1 screened in 1972. And this makes me feel old because I remember this very, very well. In particular, I remember the trailer with the Sea Devil in it. 51 years since the Sea Devils episode 1 was screened. And this, of course, saw the return of the Master, and was interestingly, it was a direct sequel to the Demons that had come at the end of the previous year. So Doctor Who didn't often do sequels, but this was very directly a sequel because we closed out the Demons, seeing the Master finally cornered by UNIT and taken off to prison, and then we pick up a year later, and there he is in prison.
He's doing porridge at last.
Doing porridge, absolutely. And I have to be honest, I love the Sea Devils. This is one of my all-time favourite stories. It's a cracker.
In my view, this is a story that uses those 6 parts, probably the best of all of them.
It's a cracking 6-parter. There is no baggage on this one. There's some brilliant location filming. Interestingly, that they had a massive overspend on the location filming, and because of that, Dudley Simpson, they couldn't afford Dudley Simpson to produce a full score, and that's why we end up with the Malcolm Clarke electronic score for the Sea Devils, because they simply couldn't afford Dudley Simpson at that point. The director at the time, Michael E. Bryant, the director, believed it was a mistake. He never liked the electronic score. Even Malcolm Clarke, who composed it, said he wasn't sure about it. He didn't think he got it right.
It doesn't fit. It really doesn't fit in the story. I remember when I first watched this, and I remember thinking, it's like this sort of, you can tell it's trying to be a bit spooky, it's trying to be a bit darker, it's trying to have that like more chilled sort of atmosphere. And when you hear the electronic, it just, your mind just goes, that doesn't fit. That was really my resounding feeling when I first watched this. And I'm going to have to go, folks. So thank you for having me.
Bye, Charlotte.
It's been
funny.
lovely to have you
because
back, as
I love the
always.
score. I have to be honest, I absolutely love the score. And it was one of the 5 pieces that was chosen in 2013 at the proms to represent the classic series. So
well, it's on Doctor Who the Music Volume 1, isn't it? Quite a lot of it. Certainly a suite of it's on there. So I like it too.
I found it really scary.
I did. It.
I thought they were scary. The Sea Devils. So
the Sea Devils were terrifying.
Yeah, I thought they were. Now you look at them, you think.
No, I disagree. I still look at them and I still think it's brilliant design. I think it's as good as the Zygons. I think they're great design.
From the neck up, especially.
Yeah, particularly. Interestingly, the Sea Devils is the only time we ever actually get to hear the Third Doctor say "reverse the polarity of the neutron flow." During the John Pertwee era, he does say it in the 5 Doctors, but that doesn't really count. No. So this is the only time you actually get to hear "reverse the polarity of the."
People love this story in the YouTube chat here live. People are saying, "Oh, Sea Devils top 10 all-time stories." Yeah, love the show. Actually, is that
us?
Who? Or us? Could be us, Adam Marshall, whichever. We agree. But there's lots of comments like this. I love the Sea Devils. No, not 51 years. Damn you, time. It's Peter Harrington. It's a story that I think this story's aged beautifully. You know, is it dated? I don't think any classic Doctor Who. I think classic Doctor Who now has passed through that criticism. I think this has a great deal of ambition, a great deal of style, and it's. And I don't like those 6-parters, but this never lets up. It's riveting.
And you struggle with some Pertwee stories, but I really do think it's up there as one of the best.
It's one of the best ones.
Let's not forget, of course, that episode 1, as said, that would have been screening 51 years ago, also features the Master Watch and the Clangers, which brilliantly is a little bit of padding because they discover that episode 1 was just underrunning. So they just wrote this little scene, and it's become one of the most famous scenes from classic Who.
Doctor Who is as much about little moments as anything else. Charles says, my stepdad said he was terrified by the Sea Devils. Yeah. He still is, actually.
They still give me the willies. Well, they don't now. Not in New Who. That last one was terrible.
I was about to say, Simon, isn't it weird how that plastic mask that came out the sea, and I remember them all coming out to sea, whatever.
Yeah.
When it was in John Pertwee, was kind of scary. And then I saw pictures of videos on YouTube, the new one where the eyes were blinking digitally, and they weren't scary at all.
They don't work. What's all that about?
Yes, I'm saying they just don't.
What's all that about? It's nuts, isn't it?
Adam Marshall clarifies, Doctor Who is the best TV show of all time. I absolutely endorse that message, Adam. Thanks for joining us here. I hope you enjoyed the show.
So basically, so Sea Devils episode 1 would have been going out. Love the Clangers moment, absolutely, Jack. It's one of the best. Interestingly, we're here praising the Sea Devils themselves as a creation. You don't see any Sea Devils episode 1, sadly, apart from a hand. There's one hand that comes up. You don't see the Sea Devils. What you do see that you wish you hadn't seen is Stuart Fell doubling Katie Manning as she climbs up that road ladder.
That was a classic.
And that's as classic as the Clangers bit, and you really wish you hadn't seen that one.
Right.
But of course, it's perfect to talk about the Clangers tonight because it just ties in beautifully with the fact that season 9 is on the way imminently, and we very, very recently had the trailer with Joe Jones, whatever you call her, finding a little baby Sea Devil, and everybody's gone mad over the baby Sea Devil. So it ties in very nicely with that, and it also ties in rather tragically with the fact that the season 9 trailer pays a beautiful tribute to Cliff Jones, to the actor Stuart Bevan, just at the very end of the trailer. If you haven't seen it, go and find it on YouTube. It's a little comment. To as a tribute to Stuart Bevan as an actor who, believe it or not, again by the just most bizarrest of timey-wimey coincidences, we lost Stuart Bevan exactly 1 year ago this week in 2022, aged 73. So it's just very, very timely that season 9 trailer mentions Stuart, and that it just ties in so beautifully with Sea Devils, which was going out in 1972. Because I can't believe he's been gone a year already. I remember this.
I can't.
In passing,
he and Katie were still so close, weren't they? After like 50 odd years too. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, we did a show, Simon. You weren't on that week, but we had Neil Cole as our guest, and quite by chance, and we were talking about that Sea Devils release, the announcement of the Blu-ray, and about that trailer, and just by chance, because Neil bloody Cole knows everybody, and so he just came out with, "Oh, I know the guys who made that trailer," and you can find out about it on Type 40 Live Inside Track, so you can see the video of that here on the channel on the playlist. If you look at the Type 40 Live playlist. Or you can get the audio version across all major podcatchers in 2 parts there. Type 40 Live Inside Track with our special guest Neil Cole, and he tells you about how they filmed that, all the stuff that Mike Tucker did, and the Baby Yoda influence there that was there on the Baby Sea Devil. So I had to get that.
Bless. Moving on, we're going to go back just very, very briefly. We're going to go back even further because this is a bit of a gift that we can't turn our backs on. 58 years since the Web Planet episode 2 was screening back in 1965. And again, by the bizarrest coincidence, it just so happens to be that today would have been the writer Bill Strutton's 100th birthday, and that's why we really felt we couldn't let this one go without a mention. So yes, on his very birthday, episode 2 of the Web Planet was screening, and sadly we lost him back in 2003. On the 23rd of November, the 40th anniversary of Doctor Who, we lost Bill Strutton, or William Harold Strutton to give him his full name. He was born in Australia, and he went on to work on all manner of things, classic British TV, The Saints, The Avengers. He wrote as well the novelisation. We were talking earlier about the Target novels, and Bill Strutton also wrote the novelisation of the Web Planet, and it was released as the Zabi, and it actually makes him the very, very first Doctor Who writer, the Doctor Who screenwriter, to write their own novelisation.
I'm right in thinking this was his only Doctor Who story, aren't I?
It was his only Doctor Who story. He did write The Mega. It was called The Mega. It was a story called The Mega. And he wrote that for Pertwee. He wrote that for the third Doctor. It never got past development stages and early scripting, so it was never made. But it was produced then by Big Finish a few years ago. Big Finish put out a version of The Mega.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's okay, yeah. But dear old Bill Strutton, I mean, blimey, the Web Planet. What can you say about the Web Planet? For anybody that hasn't seen this, whoa, you're in for a kind of treat, but just go in with a very, very open mind.
Yeah, drip feed it. It's another 6-parter that's 2 episodes
it's a
too long.
It's a 6-parter that really drags. Again,
actually, it's probably 4 episodes too long.
Certainly 3 episodes too long. It's different. It's unique. It is truly unique in the Doctor Who canon. It really is. There's nothing like the Web Planet.
Absolutely. Very unique.
Very unique. But as I say, 58 years ago, it would have been going out. And as I say, Bill Strutton, very happy birthday up there for 100 years today would have been Bill Strutton's birthday.
Wow.
Moving on, another birthday that we are remembering, who is still very much with us, is Anjali Mahindra, who was 33 at the beginning of the week on Monday. And of course, Anjali played very famously Rani in Sarah Jane Adventures. This always confused me, boys. I could never understand why she was called Rani, because it just confuses me with the Rani. Why would Russell call a character Rani?
So many names that he could have chose from. I know. I was just thinking that. What can I say about this without?
She looks beautiful on that right-hand side photo. It's quite simply stunning.
Stunning girl.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. So she played the Rani in more than 20 stories. She also played, as you can see there, Queen Skithra, who I can remember absolutely zero about. That was in Nikola Tesla's unpronounceable episode title.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, it was a terrible part. I mean, I hope she had fun playing it, but it really was. Considering that she'd just been in Bodyguard, because this woman's career is very much on the up. She's been in some great dramas, and then I think she kind of went back to do this part in Doctor Who, not as a favour, but out of a kind of a fondness of coming out of the Sarah Jane event. And they give her a part like that, and in a pretty. Actually, it wasn't. It was probably one of the better episodes of that season, but that's not saying much.
That's not saying a lot.
So it was beneath her. They got this really good actress at the right time, and they give her that insanity. But she's just lovely. Every time you see her interviewed.
Go on, sorry, Dan.
And every time you see her interviewed or she's on the behind the sofa things with, because obviously she's Sacha Dhawan's partner, so they have them together quite a lot. And obviously, of course, there's chemistry between them, and they just both seem like really nice people. And I mean, she retweeted me once, and I was like, I got a bit hot and bothered, and I did. I don't mind telling you.
You old softy, you. Well, this is going to make you feel very old because, she was born in Nottingham in 1990. That certainly makes me feel old because I was just on my way to university at that point. So that really that does kind of hit home a little bit. She has done loads of TV. Coronation Street, Doctors. But then, to be honest, who hasn't done Doctors?
I was nearly in Doctors once. That's how badly everybody's in Doctors. When they're filming it in Household Town Centre, everybody's been in Doctors.
She also did a Pizza Hut commercial, which I do remember very, very well. And for her sins, she also played a lead role in Russell T Davies's Cucumber. Well, somebody had to, didn't they? Bless her, poor girl. Poor girl.
I struggled with that.
But now, of course, she does loads of Big Finish stuff. So she's
what a surprise.
Well, fair point.
She was in Legends of Tomorrow. She's done a few American dramas as well. And she just works a lot and does lots of different things. I think some of the
in the right time zone now, isn't she? Being a person of color and all that. So yeah, she's going to get a lot.
I suppose that's not going to hurt. But when she was in Bodyguard in particular, if again that's the last proper great drama that I saw on the BBC. But it was also the drama that convinced me that having a TV license was a waste of time because it was on Netflix 3 weeks after it was shown. I thought, okay, that's convinced me I don't need a TV license. But
no, only recently. I mean, it was released a long time ago. The Bodyguard, wasn't it? So
yeah, it was about. This would be about 4. Yeah, it's about 3.5 years ago because it was around the time that Series 12 aired, which I was really smarting from. So once I realised, okay, I've watched 2 shows this year. One of them was terrible, and the other one was on Netflix within a couple of weeks. I think I'll be fine without my license.
Bodyguard's quite violent, actually. There's that scene where the sniper, that was really bloody.
Yeah, it was very, very intense.
Yeah.
Initially, I think she's in a hijab in a lot of the scenes that she's in.
Yeah.
And she's got no makeup on, and it's just really fantastic performance. Wow.
And as Peter Harrington said, she also did a really nice tribute to Liz Sladen in that. Yes, they did, which was really nice. And it's nice to see that she still sort of wears her Doctor Who colours with pride. And she's a great girl. So happy birthday at 33 years old. I know we shouldn't give a girl
too young.
Too far too, as I say,
far too young.
Very, very old. And very finally this week, and really not wanting to get on a downer here, but we have to remember just a few people who we lost because the great Nicholas Courtney we lost 12 years ago in 2011, aged 81, and so we really, being the anniversary year, we don't normally dwell on deaths in this section, but how can we not mention the great?
But you know what the real crime was? That they didn't get him to star in New Who. I hate saying that, New Who. They didn't get him to come in at least one episode.
I'm not certain, Ian. We'd have to sort of check up from the point of view of. I know that at one point he was due to be in something, and his health prevented him.
Right, okay.
He was meant to be. He was in the Sarah Jane Adventures for 2 episodes. I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, and he was due to go back and do another 2-parter there with Liz Sladen and David Tennant, but he was in the end, he was too ill to be in that.
You wonder whether maybe, I hope to goodness they did ask him back, because you're right, Ian, they absolutely damn well should have asked him back, and I really hope that they did ask him back, and for whatever reason he declined or his health prevented him. But that photo on the right hand side, that is just adorable, isn't it? What a little cute
like you say, we try not to get morbid on the show or maudlin in any way. And to be honest, even though Nick is no longer with us, I met Nicholas Courtney I think 3 times, and I just thought he was he was huge and charismatic and friendly, everything you would want a star to be. And so even though he's no longer with us, I don't know, I've never sad thinking about this guy. Everything he did for the fandom, Simon, everything that he is on screen, everything that he was off screen.
And absolutely, and when you see him in interview, it's just there's an interview. I think it's on the season 10 Blu-ray box set that they interview Nick Courtney, and it's just the most beautiful interview. He just comes across as a very, very humble. Well, he was a very humble guy. He suffered quite openly with sort of depression and with stress. That he often struggled with, even during the Doctor Who years, he was still struggling. He just comes across as a thoroughly likable man. Same as you, Dan. I did meet him a couple of times at conventions and things. Just an absolute gent, and he's just everything Doctor Who in many ways, isn't he? For me, certainly, and I know it'll be the same for you, Ian, because you loved the Pertwee years.
Yeah,
just quintessentially Doctor Who.
I hope they were wanting him for the Centauran episode with David Tennant.
Yeah,
and maybe he was too sick, because you can't have Unit without him. Do you know?
I agree.
Especially at that moment in time, so it was really weird to them. He did mention him, didn't he, in that episode? I think, or one of the.
I think so. Yeah. They do make a mention of it. The thing that really still rankles with me so much is that awful Cyberman episode when they supposedly stick the Brigadier in the Cyberman.
Great, that one
really still sticks in my throat. That was so. I think that was just really disrespectful.
A rubbish episode, anyway.
So, a very rare. I think I've said before that it's a. Say what you like about Stephen Moffat. He had his follies, he had his flaws and his successes, but that was the only time I ever really felt that his internal, so his kind of moral compass, in many ways, was really off.
It was done with the best intentions, but it leaves a very, very bad taste in the mouth. It's really quite uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what I heard was that he didn't want to be there, and the BBC was demanding things with when it came to the woke agenda thing, and they made him. They made sure that he was going in their direction, and he got very tired of it. So he wasn't up to his full strength when he was writing stuff for. But that's what I was told. I don't know if I don't know if it's true.
That was a little later. I think that was when the charter came through in 2016. This was before that, but it was at the height of the success of Sherlock, which I do think compromised Moffat a little. I have to say, I think he was overreached. I do.
Yeah.
That's another conversation.
He did a good job on Sherlock. He did really good.
But anyway, as I say, we absolutely salute Nick Courtney. Just a couple of very, very quick mentions as well, because again, in the 60th anniversary year, we can't not mention these guys. We lost 10 years ago in 2013. This week, we lost the great Ray Cusick, of course. His input into Doctor Who cannot be underestimated, because we genuinely might not all be sitting here now talking about Doctor Who if it wasn't for Ray Cusick with that Dalek design that absolutely cemented them in the public's eye, and that was what established Doctor Who, and nobody should be in any doubt about that at all. So we absolutely salute Ray Cusick. And also, incredibly, 42 years ago in 1981, we also lost Ron Grainer this week in 1981, the composer of the theme tune.
God, he was still so active. He was still creating. He was still working in television, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. He was still kicking around, still doing stuff.
When you love stuff, you don't want to let go, do you? If you love what you do,
absolutely. And he, I think he always was surprised by the recognition that theme got, because he just thought it was just a sort of a throwaway thing. He was always so complimentary what Delia Derbyshire did with it, and used to sort of say that she should get the credit for it. So that shows the kind of guy that he was. And again, Ron Grainer, Ray Cusick, Nicholas Courtney, these are heavyweights that we have to remember in the anniversary year. We lost them all this week and years gone by. We salute you all, guys, wherever you are. That's your lot, folks. Don't forget to like and subscribe the video, and we'll be back with more diaries very, very soon.
Thank you so much for putting that together, as always, Simon. Yeah, when you think, as you say, they're big names. We spend a lot of time talking about various the showrunners, lead actors in. We chew over these names all the time, and yet the Cusacks, Barry Newberry's, Peter Brack, all these people, so key to the success of Doctor Who, and running right the way through the show as well. And it's never a bad time to just give them a nod and include them in things like this, and to remind ourselves.
I really do think we need to remind ourselves. I mean, it is no overestimation to say we probably wouldn't be sitting here without Ray Cusick. I really do firmly believe that.
Yeah.
If anybody else had designed the Daleks and done them nowhere near as good as Ray, I just don't think we'd be sitting here.
But the Daleks design is an iconic design.
Absolutely.
It's like I remember there were when there were Spielberg got hold of Doctor Who and they had all these designs. They changed the design of the Daleks. It's like, what the hell are you doing?
What are you doing? Stop!
You can't do that because it's so iconic. You know.
That's right. That's
if
right.
it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Correct. And so we have those people to thank. That's why we're sitting here now.
Yeah. Yeah,
that goes for the Doctor Who diary too. Yeah, lots of thank yous to you there in the chat, Simon. Thanks for putting all that together. More next time, no doubt. Good to have it back. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know what you think of all that in the comments section. Have we made you feel old? Have we made you feel young? Have we made you? I see Cliff Maxwell was saying how lucky we are to have had interactions with some of these people who are no longer with us.
Yeah,
and they were so generous. They were really generous
people, weren't they,
Simon?
They were, Dan, you're right. I mean, we, not wanting to go over old ground that we've just covered with conventions, but boy, those conventions, those actors and actresses in Doctor Who at that time, and the production guys behind the scenes, they really were so generous with their time at conventions. They were so affectionate.
You didn't have to pay either.
What was that? Sorry, Ian?
You didn't have to pay for an autograph.
No,
I remember when I first went. Yeah,
and it was just a joyous time to be in Doctor Who, and just sometimes you wonder now what certain people's agendas are.
Yeah.
Whereas back in the day, it was totally genuine. There was no agenda other than just the love of Doctor Who, as you always say.
I think I spent 4 minutes in the company of Nicholas Courtney.
Really?
But in that time, he made me feel, and I was like 16. So the first time I was 16. The second time I was only 17, 18. And he made me feel like he was genuinely interested in who I was. And I got my artwork with me, and he made it seem like he was interested. He met hundreds, probably thousands of fans.
Yeah.
But, that was
it's
the only...
interesting. Because I know people that would say to me, I met Tom Hanks or I met Tom Cruise, and they gush over it. And then they would say to me, well, who did you meet? I would say Peter Davison. And they'll look at, I mean, they know who Peter Davison is, obviously, and they know he's the Doctor, but they'll just look at me and think,
what?
Tom Hanks? Do you know what I mean? It's like, well,
Horses.
Mention them in the same breath.
Derek Meddings, I remember mentioning Derek
Derek Meddings.
And they didn't even know who he was. Like, who? Derek who? I'm like,
Derek
you don't know Derek
Meddings. God, I would have loved to have met
Doctor Who.
I met Derek Meddings once.
Derek Who.
Oh, he spoke to me for an hour. He's amazing.
I'm very envious.
He's amazing.
Well, I used to, here we are on a rabbit hole thing. I used to work with a guy who had just finished university, and I was heading a creative department then, and this guy was working in the photographic studio, which was next to it. And so he was interested in at the time he was shooting he was shooting everything from shop window dummies to all manner of sort of glamour girls, I'll put it that way. But what he really wanted to do, I'm putting it politely, but what he really wanted to do was model work in movies, like miniature models. For his final project at university, he had reached out to Derek Meddings thinking, maybe he can give me a few words for my dissertation, my project, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was the same experience here. And he said he rang him up.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get him off the phone.
He's amazing.
Wow. He sent him stuff through the post, all sorts of stuff. Yes, that's.
He told me about false perspective, and I didn't at that moment in time. I didn't really realize what. And he described it in such a way that I understood it immediately. Do you know what I mean? He's amazing. And I remember I was in one. I was at. I can't remember. It was a class I was doing. And they were all going on about directors and stuff like that. And they came up to me and they said, "Who's your favourite director?" I went, "Fred Quimby." And they just looked at me like I was crazy.
You say this stuff. I think that you say some of this stuff just to see the look on people's faces.
Exactly. That's why I did it. They're like, "Who's Fred Quimby?" I'm like, "You don't know who Fred Quimby is."
Brilliant.
So, I've seen the people have enjoyed the Doctor Who diary. It's great to have it back. Thanks again, Simon. Let's head back to the main console room. But please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the cloister bell, everybody. One more thing. Before we go, we may have lost a couple of our panel members, but we can't possibly. I know. Obviously, massive thanks to Charlotte Shields for her company as always, and huge respect for JT for climbing out of his sick bed. He's still not well, is he? But he made it through, and he sold us on some of those items.
Is that Peter, by the way? Is that Peter?
Is that Peter? Oh, was that Peter? Yes, of course, it's Peter Capaldi.
Is he going in there to get Shooty's costume? Because it does really look like it.
Well, the orange T-shirt is there's an orange T-shirt there.
Yeah,
I think
exactly, right there.
Yes. Who knows? Who knows? Well, we'll as soon as I find out, I'll let you know. That's. But speaking of which, we have this picture from Rose-Coloured Lucy. This is Ncuti Gatwa, the 15th Doctor. There, lit up, all golden, orange. Yeah, he looks wonderful. I think that I do like this one. I know we've seen several cartoons of Ncuti, and people are trying to capture his likeness, and I think some are more successful than others. But the bone structure on this is nice. I do like this sort of scratchy style, sort of greetings card style. I just think it's lovely that people are being inspired by the actor, by this character that we get to meet, as well as because he's a bit of a mystery to me. You know, I've decided not to watch anything that Ncuti's doing or has done. I'll wait until next year. But I like this. I like the way the light catches his bunts there, Simon.
I know one thing. He's got a lot to live up to here. People have got there is a lot of expectation hanging on Ncuti Gatwa and on Russell's new Who. There really is a lot of expectation.
Well, and Simon, if you think about how positive JT was when this was first announced and everything like that,
he was,
and suddenly he's gone right the other side, isn't he? He's
basically saying exactly what you and I was saying, Ian, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I won't deny it's hard to see JT a little deflated by it after he was so enthusiastic by it. I'm still very largely up about it. You know, I'm not. But to see JT go out the other side, I'm not disappointed because people are people. But it's certainly a stark reminder that not only we've all got our different lines in the sand, but how fragile the trust is between us and the BBC, the people who are making it.
And I do think that our trust. I mean, I don't know. Again, boys, we're of an age that we can remember back to, for example, when Peter Davison took over, Colin Baker, whatever. There was never any. This degree of fragility wasn't there. There was never any doubt. I just remember everybody was just excited about Peter Davison or excited about Colin Baker. We didn't have that fear, that nervousness about it. Of whether it was going to work or not. So they really...
Even after what Colin was wearing, people were still keen to.
Yeah. But you know what, Dan? That costume has become iconic as well.
Yeah, it has.
Do you know what I mean?
I completely agree.
Even though it looked like
a
pizza,
I never had a problem with it.
It's still, when you think of the Doctor, when you think of Colin, you think of that costume. You know what I mean?
You do.
In some ways, it's bad, but in some ways, it's totally Doctor Who. Do you know what I mean?
I never had a problem with it. To me, it still is very, very Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I really don't.
It's very, very mid-80s, which I suppose what we have to accept is that the Doctor very much reflects the time. And we've got a comment here from Matthew Pound who says, too much bling. And Paul Murray says of the question, what we were just talking about there, I bet we hate it and Joe Public love it. In some ways, I'd rather it be that way, but I just would.
I'm really not sure about the Paul's right there. I have to say.
Can I say one thing? Right, something that's just occurred to me. You know what Ncuti was wearing, the blaxploitation costume.
Yeah.
We might be missing a thing here. Maybe he went back in time to the 70s, and that's why he's dressed like that. Maybe. That's
good
the
point.
Thing.
We've got to wait and see till Christmas and see. Yeah, you never know. Could be period dress.
Exactly. So
let's keep the faith on that one. I'm not convinced. Let's keep
It's a good effort.
It's a good
Shah says, I'll never ever think that Colin's costume was good. Now, I didn't say I thought it was good. I said I liked it.
Same here.
I think, Shah, lovely to see you. I liked it, says Matt Potts.
Me too.
Richard Brooks is also very uneasy about the new regime. You can come and talk to us, Richard. We'll never judge you here at Type 40 Live.
Yeah,
I can't wait for series 14 though, says Simon Ashley. So really, we do have it's a broad church in our comment section.
I think it's fairly evenly split. I have to be honest. And you know, when I look at that picture that you just brought up there, that artwork of Shooty, I don't know what it is. I'm just not feeling it yet. I mean, as exactly the same as JT was saying earlier on, but the surprise is that he's completely about turned. He has done a U-turn, whereas I've always felt this. I look at that and I'm like, yeah, it's a really nice piece of artwork. He's a good-looking lad. Is that the Doctor? It doesn't look like the Doctor to me. I'm sorry. I'm just not feeling it yet. Well, I'm fully prepared to be taken up by it, but I'm not yet.
I mean, I remember there was a comment on Twitter. I don't really answer people's Twitter, and somebody said they were shocked they said they were shocked that I or me or whoever they were referring to said that I don't believe the Doctor should be black. So they were shocked that I said that. But I'm not going to defend it. But I always say, I always say that I don't believe in race swapping, and that's where I will leave the line. You know what I mean? They can argue the point about he's an alien and stuff like that.
That Twitter account, and I am grateful for their support. That's Doctor Who production report. There's a lot of followers of that account, and I do appreciate her support.
I respect their opinion. That's it.
What she couldn't understand, what she was struggling with, was the fact that you said that, and that we didn't wag our fingers at you and tell you how wrong you are and teach you the error of your ways. You're right, you're this, that, and I said, well, that's firstly, we've already had those discussions. There's no point in us going over the stuff over and we know why one another feels the way we do, and we respect one another. We respect one another's viewpoints. And we may tease one another now and again, and we may disagree fiercely on some things. Yeah. But generally the way forward is clear.
And we're all allowed an opinion. Everybody, if we remove the right for anybody to have an opinion that just happens to differ from yours, then as a society we're lost.
Yeah. I mean, the person that actually said that in Twitter, they're entitled to that, and I'm not even going to argue with them. To that. Just like I'm entitled to my opinion.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's all it is.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily mind. I'm certainly asking the question. I mean, it's one of those where you think, well, do you have to ask publicly? Do you have to in front of everybody? Because you're on somebody's feed, and it's it's the Type 40 account as well, not your personal account, not my personal account, because none of the podcast, the show, doesn't have an opinion. No. We individually have opinions, and the show is something else. But you can't.
But go on. Sorry, I've also said that I wish Shooty the best, and I wish the production the best. You know what I mean? It's like it's not like I'm sticking and I'm really being like he shouldn't be there, and I'm not going to watch.
You haven't got to give it a shot that you're sticking pins into.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to give it a shot. If it doesn't,
likewise. So am I.
So
I really want to be proved wrong.
Matt Potts says, but you need to be represented, Ian. You're a man of colour.
Yeah, right.
Shah says, the Doctor changed their entire being. Yeah. I'll always disagree with Ian on that one.
I know.
But I can't tell you how to think or feel.
She's been here.
And Shah never would she? Because she's a normal person.
I love her for that, though.
Normal-ish.
Yeah. She's got her own opinions,
Again, her opinion's just as valid.
Exactly.
Will Hadcroft says, I would prefer the Doctor to be depicted as an Edwardian-style, middle-aged eccentric.
Yeah.
Those days are long gone, and I accept it. I mean, I never thought I'd see another actor play the Doctor who was older than I was, and then they cast Peter Capaldi. So I think I wouldn't necessarily think that those days are gone. But for now, this is who the Doctor will be, and I think we have got to just sort of wish him well, hope for the best.
Yeah.
And I do feel my instinct is exactly as it was with Matt Smith. I feel they've probably cast the right guy at the right time. It's up to him to prove me wrong, rather than that's the headspace that I'm in at the moment. And he may do. Only time will tell.
I don't know. Before Matt Smith opened his mouth, I thought he was perfect. I don't know why. It was something about him. Even before I even saw an episode, and I saw him, I was like, you know what? That is the Doctor. I don't know. There was something about Matt Smith. There was something about Matt Smith that I thought, when I saw a picture of him, I thought, do you know what? If he has to be young, You ever watch Lockwood and Co? There's a guy in Lockwood and Co, the main guy. He could be a good doctor. Do you know what I mean? And I think he's mixed race, but he'd be an amazing doctor. But there are certain people that are you can see them playing a doctor, but that's what I think.
Time will tell.
Exactly.
I was shocked with how young Matt Smith was.
Yes, so was I.
I really was. But I think within about 5 minutes of him talking on the announcement documentary, I thought, okay, I can see why they've cast him. I sort of see something.
No, so was I. He had one thing in common with Tom Baker. Tom Baker loved kids, and kids gravitated towards him, and the same thing with Matt as well. Not so much with David Tennant, but Matt Smith. Kids love Matt Smith. My nieces and my nephews loved Matt Smith when he was the Doctor. Do you know what I mean?
But this is where I sort of ran up against a brick wall with Jodie Whittaker, and I'm nervous with Shooty as well, because the thing is with
don't
Matt,
get me started on that woman.
I'm not going.
The very worst performance I've ever seen of a lead actor in a major show was that woman as the Doctor. Extraordinarily, just totally off, totally toned down.
Well, the reason, I just same as you, Dan. The minute I saw Matt Smith in that confidential episode on New Year's Day or around about that time when they announced him, immediately I got it, because he got that mercurial quality. And I always come down to this, and that to me is the word mercurial. Every actor to play the Doctor has been mercurial, and Jodie wasn't, and that's where I'm nervous about Shooty. He doesn't come across yet to me as a mercurial actor, sorry. And so that's why I'm just a bit nervous. But like Ian, I'm prepared to give it a go. Bring it on.
Give it a shot. See what he does.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope I'm wrong.
Me too.
I hope I'm very wrong.
I think he looks like a very different actor to Smith in many respects. But he does seem like somebody...
Shooty?
Yeah.
Really? But you think he looks very different?
No. As an actor, I mean, physically, he's completely different.
Yeah.
But I mean, as an actor, I think he's probably got the equivalent range that Matt Smith's got.
You know what? Right, I think Russell T is going to write him like he wrote, David Tennant, put that thing about Dr.
Initially,
do you know what I think?
I think he will. Yeah,
they should the Doctor should be more kind of. He should be very different to Matt and David.
I agree.
Because they all had that kind of whatever. Yeah. But the Doctor should have a different character, shouldn't they?
What I feel about it is that if he started writing those scripts before they cast their guy, and so what I think they will have done, that the scripts will have been
rewrite.
Plot will be there, the characters, the surrounding characters will be there, and the Doctor will be there. Not generic Doctor, because I don't think the Doctor's a generic character, but I think he will have written it one way and then seen Shooty audition and go through those scripts, gradually tweak it and
to make him
shrink to fit. I think that's what I'd do, and I'm not a writer, so
it's like those jeans where you had to wet them so they can fit you.
Exactly. Seriously, exactly like that. Take some instinct from his personality so that the natural character that he can reach and inhabit comes through, rather than what happened, in the last era where they just threw a script at a completely bewildered actress, and I don't know what they expected. I don't know. I wasn't in the room, but whatever happened, none of it came together. Let's reconnect a little with. Well, yes, we've just got the one. Just the one this time, because we've rambled a little, I think. So just the one, but it is a very pretty. But it is, in my defence, it is a good one. It's a very pretty picture, and it ties in nicely to the diary earlier on. What you were saying about the boxes, Simon. There, the very last time that we saw Barry Newbury's original box would have been in the 6th episode of Sharda. There, we've got this amazing digital artwork. I just think this is beautiful from Andrew Orton, and this is the classic era TARDISes all together there in this digital landscape. And I just think I just really like this. You see the differences between the colours, the heights, the various elements, how they were different, and I don't know. This just conjures up the classic era to me perfectly.
It does. I love that. We've spoken about the TARDIS before now, in that it just is. Ian, you were saying earlier on that the Dalek is a classic design. Well, so is the TARDIS. Well, the police box is just a beautiful, beautiful classic design. The proportions, the way the light falls and creates those little shadows in the panels and the windows. It's just a beautiful design classic. And that's one of the things that I've always loved about Doctor Who is it's a very, very romantic image, I think, the police box. Yeah. Very romantic. And somebody said in the chat earlier on about the Daleks being lightning in a bottle. Well, police boxes were also lightning in a bottle for the BBC. That gosh, what made them pick a police box? Because it is just such a beautiful, romantic image for the Doctor to be travelling around in. And that
it wouldn't have been in '63 though, would it? People would think it's just a mundane thing that are on street corners. So that romance is something that's been added over the decades to us.
Totally. I think that's exactly what it is. But the image is still a beautiful piece of design.
Iconic.
Yeah, it is.
I did ask Ian McLaughlin that question about the police box, and Ian, being the man that he was, he completely ignored my question and told me about something else because he's that kind of guy. But he that's that much to talk about. And he believed generally that and this is a man who was, I believe Ian McLaughlin was the first proper Doctor Who fan, and you can find our tribute video on the Facebook YouTube channel to our late panelist Ian McLaughlin. But what I asked him about it, and he said that as much as he loves Doctor Who, even he believed, and he'd seen everything, that it was kind of romanticized by our generation of fans. And that a lot of the things that we imagine it being and feeling like and looking like wasn't like that at all. And I don't think it was a little deflating to hear that in some respects, but it's funny as well.
But it makes sense. Things have to evolve, right? Like for instance, when Alfred was first introduced into a comic, he wasn't Batman's butler. He was something else, right? He was like a secret agent trying to do whatever. And then as it developed, Alfred became Batman's, you know what I mean? Same thing with the TARDIS, right? It started off that way, and then it evolved into something else,
And also, the thing that we've got to remember is that, I can see that Shah has said in the chat, was it iconic back in the day? Well, no, of course it wasn't. But nothing is iconic when it's created. It becomes iconic. You look at the Coca-Cola bottle. Nobody thought when they designed the Coca-Cola bottle that they were designing a classic. Yeah. They just designed it and it caught the imagination. It becomes iconic. So, no, it wasn't at the time. It's something that becomes iconic. And it might have become iconic purely because it is such a beautiful image. I think it's beautifully proportioned. The colour is beautiful. I say the light falling is beautiful. It might have become iconic through that, but also it has become iconic because of Doctor Who. There's no two ways about that.
Yeah,
there's a romance that I'm just as guilty of sort of being party to towards post-war Britain as well. Yeah. And that's a symbol very much of, I don't think people can get romantic about ration books, for example, because a lot of people suffered and really resented their ration books, whereas police boxes, they were
being
protected,
unless you were locked in one area, they were seen as dead.
Am I wrong in saying that the reason why they were there is because if you were lost or you're in trouble, you could pick up the phone, but also you could lock yourself in there.
Yes, exactly.
So do you know what I mean? So. But the thing is about iconic things is that, Type 40 is going to be iconic in the next 20 years, isn't it? Let's face it.
Absolutely.
So we'll all be iconic.
There you go. You heard it here first, everybody. You heard it here first. That's Andrew Orton's artwork. I don't want to switch it off as well without mentioning the landscape there, because that's so Hartnell era. Yes, and yet it's so Castrovalva as well. So I just think it's perfect.
It is,
well done.
Right.
Well done, Andrew. Wonderful stuff. Don't follow him.
And you're right, Dan, in that it's perfect because, that is the Barry Newbury box right in the middle there that we would have seen for the very, very, very last time ever today, back in 1980.
What's the one at the end? What's the one at the on the left?
That's the Peter Davison one. The season 18 onwards.
Of course.
Tommy Ardley Jones. Tommy Ardley Jones designed that one.
Right. Yes, of course.
And that went right the way through then to the end. To the end of the run.
So go and follow Andrew Orton on Twitter and tell him that Type 40 sent you. some fantastic digital artwork there from Andrew. Lots of TARDISes, come to think of it. I think he does tend to go more for the props than the people, but he does them beautifully. A really great digital artist. And as always, if you're an artist, whether you're a traditional or a digital artist, if you'd like us to showcase some of your work, or if you've got a favorite piece or account on Instagram or some such place that you think that we would enjoy taking a look at and putting some pieces up here to for us all to enjoy, let us know where we can find them. You can do that very, very easily by reaching out to us through our social media. That's all over on Instagram and Twitter. We're at Type40 Doctor Who. That's where we're hanging out, so you can let us know there, or in the comment section here on the Spacebook channel too. Hit us with the links, hit us with the names, or connect us with those artists, and we'll get them on for a chat and geek out. That's kind of what we do best. More Type 40 live Doctor Who soon, same time and space, all for the love of Doctor Who, of course, in this 60th anniversary year. I think we made it through. Not too much sniffling and snorting and all the rest of it. Obviously, JT, if you're watching, my friend, I do hope you get better soon. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to Charlotte Shields, as always. To Simon and Ian here. I've had a blast, gents. I don't know where these hours go. I really don't.
We're nearly 3 hours now.
Yeah, nearly 3 hours of this content and conversation here on Type 40 Live Doctor Who. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the cloister bell, and all that. We're going to dematerialize now. We'll see you back here for more of this and that next time. Good night, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.